What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 7RG Chapter 181 If the cooperation fails, then I will PR Street *ute for nothing. Then these things, I will take them first. Air is not stupid, he is naturally very clear that after beheading the pirates all over the world, he will also be in danger. However, at present, it can rely on the intelligence capabilities of the world government. Kill John, Ochaku, Silver Axe and others, and let's talk about the others. The words fell, and the devil fruit in the 10 treasure chests in front of him were all included in the spiritual space by Air. The 5 elders who saw this scene were not surprised, after all, Air had many abilities. They are not surprised that they can make an object disappear out of thin air. But, then again, this time you came to the Holy Land Mariejois and brought a man with you, right? The old man with a scar on his head suddenly said. It's called Edward Newgate, isn't it, Air? The purpose of the 753 cooperation between us is to get rid of all the big pirates in the New World. Since there is a great pirate in this holy place, Mariejois, why not kill him directly? Of course, we will not pay less. The goal between us, isn't it John? Air said lightly while sitting on the sofa. John is a later story, now there is a ready-made big pirate, in this holy place Mariejois, kill him, you can get more rich benefits today. This kind of thing, I refuse. 39 To be honest, Air didn't want to kill Whitebeard. After all, in the entire pirate world, only Whitebeard can get along with him. Moreover, because Whitebeard was worried about him, he followed him to this holy place, Mariejois, alone. No matter how cold-blooded Air is, he wants to get devil fruit again. But the basic bottom line is still there. I said Air, before our world government started working with you, we directly gave you 20 devil fruits, which fully proves our attitude. You need to let us see your attitude, after all. You are full of interests, aren't you? 1 yard is 1 yard. I am accepting John's task now, Edward's task, and I will talk about it later. Air's face was a little gloomy, and he said coldly. Anyone in the New World, Air can help the 5 elders kill. But only Whitebeard can't. The 10 devil fruits I gave you just now was a deposit for you to get rid of John. Now get rid of this guy Edward Newgate, and you can get 25 devil fruits directly. How Air? 5. Advertisement. The 5 elders thought that Air wanted to use the means just now to knock more benefits out of their hands. After all, buying Whitebeard's life with 25 devil fruit was acceptable to them. Of course. We need you to kill Edward Newgate yourself. After all, we need to see your cooperative attitude with us. The blonde old man took a sip of his tea and said lightly. If Air just doesn't do anything with devil fruit, this will give them quite a headache. Now, they need to see Air kill Whitebeard. Let them see Air's determination to work with them. Only then will they continue to work with Air. Do you need me to say it a second time? I refuse. Air said calmly. I said Air, we don't want to destroy our partnership, we just want to see you kill Edward Newgate and show your heart. Of course, if you think 25 devil fruits are not enough, we can continue to increase the price. The 5 elders only thought that Air was not satisfied with the 25 devil fruit just now. Therefore, it is proposed to continue to increase the price. You old guys, it's really a headache. Do I need to repeat a sentence several times? Air sat on the sofa, his tone slightly colder. Whenever the 5 elders asked him to kill Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Air would accept it without hesitation. But, Whitebeard, he still can't start. Not to mention, the 5 elders actually wanted him to kill Whitebeard himself. This has touched Air's bottom line. Air, have you forgotten? This place is the Holy Land Mariejois. The old man with the knife sneered. Are you refusing to cooperate with our world government with this attitude? Are you sure? Have you thought about it clearly, Air? Air, we should have been able to cooperate friendly and cooperative, but we are very disappointed with your attitude. Give you one last chance, either promise to cooperate with us, or you should be clear about the consequences. The 5 elders originally planned to let Air get rid of all the big pirates in the New World. Then start with Air. Advertisement. However, now Air's attitude seems to be refusing to cooperate with them. If that's the case, then they can kill Air now. It's all here, don't you tear your skin? You disgusting fellows. Air slowly stood up from the sofa and glanced contemptuously at the old men in front of him. Air now has a lot of hole cards in his hand. Right now, he really didn't take anyone present in his eyes. It seems that the partnership has come to an end, which is a pity. 55. The words fell, and a ghostly old man of the first generation hung around his waist. He directly took the blade out of the scabbard, held it in his hand, and a terrifying aura bloomed from his body. In the next second, it rushed towards Air at a speed like a meteor. Choke. Without any hesitation, Air pulled out the blade from his waist. The blade in his hand is the supreme sword, and it is also the knife he got from Rox. After Air got Rox's sword, he saw the swordbook of the supreme sword in the sea. Therefore, 4.3 He knows the name of the knife in his hand, for Zan Shen. With your current strength, if you refuse this, there is only one dead end, Air. The old man with the knife snorted coldly. Really, I don't think so. Air said calmly. The blades of the two men, wrapped around armament hockey at the same time, then collided. Kakaka. Holding Zan Shen Air in his hand, his aura instantly skyrocketed to the extreme. Then the footsteps exploded and rushed towards the old man with the knife. Rejecting us will be the worst decision you have ever made in your life, Air. The surrounding walls were completely unable to withstand the attacks of the two, and countless cracks appeared. An incomparably terrifying airflow centered on the two of them quickly spread out in all directions. Chapter 182 Garp. You treat the Holy Land as your home, here again? Please complete the order. The attack of the two people only collided for a few seconds. The surrounding ground plane and walls were greatly torn and collapsed, and the ceiling was crumbling. Boom! Suddenly the door was slammed open, and Whitebeard rushed in from outside. Sure enough, it's still a fight. Whitebeard held the Kong cloud cut in his hand, staring indifferently at the five elders in the hall and said coldly. Originally, he stayed outside for a long time, but found that there was no movement inside. I thought that the cooperation between Air and the five elders had already been negotiated. But, he hadn't held such an idea for a long time, and there was a violent movement inside. As soon as I opened the door, I noticed it. Air is fighting the old scarred man. Worth it? Air. Give up your cooperation with us for the sake of this guy and let his life end here. The old man with a scar on his head glanced at Whitebeard lightly, then put his eyes on Air and said. If you agree to kill this guy Edward Newgate, you are now an important partner of our world government, but unfortunately, for such a guy, you gave up your future, and in the end you have to cause yourself to die in here. 39. The blonde old man said with a little regret. A person who values interests, but now he wants to abandon his interests and become our enemy. You really did an extremely stupid thing, Air. Air, you be *****************. Hear this from these five elders. Whitebeard knew why Air was fighting the five elders. The current Whitebeard is still quite emotional. Air is worthy of being his Whitebeard's first friend on the sea. Whether it's worth it, it's not what you say, Air sneered. Although Air values interests, at least there is a bottom line. Whitebeard suddenly laughed. Gu la la la. Air, I expected this to end, so let's be here and make a fuss. The words fell, and Whitebeard charged directly towards the five elders. The terrifying strength of the five elders really made Whitebeard extremely fearful. Advertisement but. Just jealous, he doesn't think that his current strength is weaker than any of the five elders. Boom! Before Whitebeard got close to the five elders. The collision between Air and the knife-wielding old man directly caused the entire highest hall to collapse. Countless sand and gravel covered everyone, setting off a cloud of smoke and dust. This huge movement directly caused the end of training at a distance. Attention to Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane and others who are preparing to return to the Holy Land Mariejois for dinner. Garp frowned slightly. Noticing the sky above the most central position of the Holy Land Mariejois, a thick plume of smoke was raised in a deep voice. What's going on? Why is there so much smoke over there? Garp et al. Are not clear about the cooperation between the five elders and Air. After all, this is a matter between world government and Air. Naturally, they didn't need to explain to Marines Garp et al. Sengoku looked at the place where the smoke was rising in the distance, and after a few seconds of silence, his pupils contracted violently. I remember that place as the highest hall, where the meeting of the five elders took place. Could it be that there was a conflict between the five elders? Zephyr asked with a frown. It's impossible, they are companions, and don't forget, in this holy place Mariejois, there is I am who is above them. 5. So even if there is a grudge between them, it is definitely impossible to start a confrontation in this place. He shook his head slightly. Originally, they thought that the five elders were the supreme leaders of the world government. But along with living in the Holy Land Mariejois for a while, only then did they know that there are characters above the five elders in this place. And, through their time with the five elders, they sensed it. The five elders have an extraordinary respect for I am. Open your mouth and shut your mouth, it's all adults. So, let's not talk about the grudges between the five elders. Advertisement, even if there is, it depends on their respect and jealousy for I am. There is absolutely no possibility of a confrontation in the heart of the Holy Land Mariejois. If it wasn't for a fight between the five elders, could it be an intruder? Zephyr rubbed his chin with his hand and expressed his opinion. Intruder? Don't be kidding. This place is the Holy Land Mariejois. Who would dare to invade this place? Sengoku shook his head slightly. Holy Land Mariejois is like a cloud of powerhouses, and the number of masters is even more than their naval headquarters. Also, there is the supreme leader of the world government, the five elders. Sengoku knows how terrifying the power of the five elders is. After all, they have been trained by the five elders themselves all these days. So, Sengoku still finds it hard to believe that someone is bold enough to invade the holy land of Mariejois. No, Sengoku, have you forgotten? Before the holy land Mariejois had an intruder, 33 Crane suddenly reminded. Hearing Crane's words, Garp, Sengoku, and Zephyr were stunned for a moment. In the next second, they simultaneously remembered Air and others. Back then, when the Battle of the Valley of the Gods had not yet started. Air, Golden Lion, Whitebeard, Charlotte Ling, Kido. The five teamed up to invade the Holy Land Mariejois in order to steal the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods. Could it be that the Air group invaded this place again this time? Garp's expression changed slightly. The last time Air and others invaded the Holy Land Mariejois was to find the eternal pointer to the Valley of the Gods. In order to obtain the legendary ancient weapon, Uranus took such a huge risk. The last time Air and others invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, Marine did not know exactly how Air and others escaped. Let's go take a look. If it's Air, this time, they will die, he said. But this time, if Air and others invaded again, what was their purpose? Air's group of guys are too bold. Even if they invaded once, now they dare to invade a second time? Sengoku couldn't help but gasped. If it is really Air, it seems that this time they will be able to destroy them here. Zephyr clenched his fist and said firmly. But this time, Air is up against the five elders, and there are them in this place. The Valley of the Gods has long since sunk into the sea. Is there any need for an eternal pointer? Zephyr can't think of any way. What means can Air use to get out of this place? Chapter 183 The Best Open Player of the Year, Air. Meanwhile, the Holy Land Mariejois Central. An unprecedented battle is taking place. Air confronts the ghostly old man among the five elders holding the first generation. And Whitebeard is the old man with a scar on the top of his head in the confrontation five elders. As for the other five elders, they haven't shot yet. After all, in their opinion, both Air and Whitebeard have to die here today. They weren't in a hurry. Dang dang dang. Air's blade kept colliding with the old man with the blade. Another wave of terrifying momentum, shook all directions. I have to say that the knife-wielding old man is indeed the five elders, and his strength is really terrifying. That superb swordsmanship gave Air a lot of pressure every time he swung it. As far as hockey is concerned, armament hockey of the old man with a sword is top-notch. And Air's hockey is to be inferior to him. As for swordsmanship, let alone the difference between Air and the old swordsman. After all, Air has been doing relaxation training all these years. Keep swiping the progress of the cactus on the sea and finding the devil fruit. Naturally, there is not much time to practice swordsmanship. Air's current strength is indeed not weak, but compared to the old man with a knife, he was almost completely crushed. Whether it is hockey, swordsmanship, combat experience, the old man with the sword is ahead of Air. When the arm of the old man with the knife suddenly exerted force, and the terrifying force passed through the blade and covered Air's body. Air's body flew backwards at extreme speed, and he moved dozens of meters before he could stabilize his body. Do you only have this kind of strength, Air? The old man with the knife said contemptuously. Air, I thought you had the confidence to come to the Holy Land Mariejois to negotiate with us in person. You have a strong fighting force, but now it seems that you are nothing more than that. The blonde old man looked at the scene in front of him and sneered. If it weren't for the fact that we couldn't go into the sea in person and take action against your group of pirates, otherwise, your entire Rox regiment would have been destroyed as early as in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. The old man in the black suit said calmly, didn't the battle just start? Why? You think you've won? Advertisement Air is holding a slasher. He glanced at the several five elders present, and there was no trace of fear in his eyes. With your strength, you won't last long in my hands, Air, the old man with the knife said disapprovingly. What the five elders fear most is not Air's personal strength. It's his talent. However, Air hasn't trained much over the years. I have been brushing the progress of the cacti and looking for the devil fruit, and the training has been wasted. This also led to the fact that Air's current strength was a little underwhelming in front of the five elders. Really? Air sneered. He did waste training over the years? But that doesn't mean that he hasn't gained anything over the years. It took so long to get the progress of the cacti. But let him get a lot of good things. Today, let these old guys open their eyes. Experience card with several times the ability to use. Air thought to himself. Ding, does host want to use the experience card with several times the ability? Sure. Air confirmed without any hesitation. In terms of hard power, Air is definitely not as good as the five elders right now. After all, the five elders are monsters that have survived in this sea for hundreds of years. Ding, congratulations to host, you have successfully used an experience card. The consumption power has been increased several times. As the sound of the system fell, a special energy flow entered Air's body. This energy directly caused Air's body to undergo earth-shaking changes. The strength increase experience card several times is to enhance the strength of Air in all aspects. Whether it is physique, speed, insight, swordsmanship, strength, hockey, they are all enhanced several times at the same time. Air took a long breath and held the Zanshin tightly in his hand. At this moment, he could clearly feel that the terrifying power in his body was already gathering momentum. UB*********D. Although the knife-wielding old man didn't know what happened to Air. However, he could clearly feel that Air was different from before. Advertisement, the terrifying aura that exuded, even he felt a lot of pressure. Come again. The words fell, and Air's speed directly crossed an afterimage in the air, and in almost an instant, he appeared directly behind the old man with the knife. So fast. The pupils of the knife-wielding old man contracted violently, and he did not expect that Air's speed would be so fast. Although Air's speed really surprised the five elders. However, he still reacted at the last moment. Holding first-generation Onatu, wrapped in a layer of armed color and conqueror's haki, he slashed at Air. The blades of the two have not yet collided. A dazzling purple-black electric spark was rubbed between the blades and swayed in all directions. Boom! The ground plane under their feet was torn apart instantly. The ground level sank directly to a depth of more than 10 meters. The terrifying momentum swept half of the Holy Land Mariejois in an instant. It can be seen that there are conspicuous cracks in the buildings in the area of several hundred meters around the two. The building that was in the distance between the two was attacked by the two, and it was directly shaken into ruins. A terrifying aura emerges from Air. The combat power he has now has surpassed that of the five elders. This guy has become stronger. The blonde old man's pupils shrank slightly, staring at the scene in front of him unexpectedly. At the beginning of the battle, the old man with the knife had the obvious upper hand. Zhao Lihao. But now, Air's strength is directly above the sword-wielding old man. I suddenly remembered that one of the things we've been ignoring about Air lately is that this guy not only has a terrible talent, but he also ate a very special devil fruit. The old man in a black suit frowned slightly. He suddenly remembered, at the time of the Battle of Hive Island a long time ago. Former Marine Marshal Brownie once reported. Air suddenly used a special ability during that battle. Increase your strength several times. Today, although Air is not as golden as Brownie once described, there is a golden light on his body. But he clearly felt that Air's current strength was several times higher than before. When you said that, I remembered that this guy's devil fruit ability can greatly increase his own strength in a very short period of time. Chapter 184 Dangerous, Garp and his party, required. Did you use the power of devil fruit again? But how long can you maintain this state? The old man with the knife was startled with a cold sweat on his forehead and said solemnly. Air's current strength has indeed surpassed him. The terrifying power and aura had already suppressed him. However, the old man with the knife knows that Air's state cannot be maintained for too long. It's enough to beat you, Air said calmly. He was not as the five elders had guessed, drawing on devil fruit's power. Instead, it relies on the power of the experience card to increase its strength several times. However, as five elders guessed, this experience card is time limited. But that's an hour long. Defeat a five elders in an hour, and Air thinks it can be done easily. Then try it, the old man with the knife snorted coldly. Although Air's strength is now almost completely crushing him. But the old man with a knife, after all, has hundreds of years of combat experience. Even if he loses, he can still resist stubbornly. The offensive of the two kept colliding, and every 753 collisions caused great damage to the surroundings. The two were like a demolition team, and the battle only lasted for a moment. The buildings in the area of several hundred meters have been shaken into ruins by the offensive of the two men. The knife in Air's hand. Not only is it a supremely fast knife, but it is also a demon knife. More importantly, this knife is still a black knife. The so-called black knives are the constant entanglement of haki from the blade to fight. Over time, haki will forever wrap around the blade, with the power of haki. Looking at the whole world, there are only a handful of strong men with great swordsmanship. And strong men with black knives are extremely rare. This is enough to prove the rarity and terrifying nature of the black knife. At the same time, the knife in Air's hand was called Zanshin. Killing God, as the name suggests, is to kill celestial dragons who claim to be descendants of gods. Air guessed that when Rox was looking for a knife, he deliberately found the knife of Zan Shen. The purpose is to kill celestial dragons all over the world, overthrow the rule of the world government, and become the overlord of the world. Advertisement. Now this knife has fallen into Air's hands, and Air is equivalent to inheriting Rox's will. Since you have Zan Shen in your hand, then, let the celestial dragons, God, be cut to the world today. Cut God. Air's arms exploded with blue veins, and then he poured hockey from his entire body into the blade. In the next second, the aura of his whole body soared to the top. At this time, he was like a beheading god, exuding a sense of ultimate oppression. On the hearts of every 5 elders. Tread, 35 Air's footsteps stomped on the ground, and ultimate speed even made the air crack. Almost in an instant, Air came to the 5 elders and completed the movement of swinging his sword. Come on, Air. The old man with the knife roared, and the terrifying hockey was also wrapped around the blade, and he slashed at Air with the knife. Boom. The two attacks collided, and the Holy Land Mariejois was like an atomic bomb had been dropped. The violent explosion even spread to the area thousands of meters away. The ground plane under the two of them was torn apart by a large margin. And the aftermath of being attacked by the two people shook into the air. Around the two, smoke and dust like a tornado hung up, completely shrouding their figures. Through the smoke and dust, it can be seen that two people with amazing momentum are fighting with all their might. And right now, Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane, and countless powerhouses of the World Government CP organization arrived at the battlefield. It's Edward Newgate, 35. This guy has developed rapidly since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Now this guy created the Whitebeard Pirates, but the new world is second only to the Roger Pirates' terrible pirates, 5. Added, however, it seems that he is the only one here, and he has not seen his crew. This guy is here to die. The CP organization looked at Whitebeard's figure and talked a lot. And Garp came to the battlefield for the first time. He noticed Whitebeard who was fighting with the scarred old man, and shouted. Edward. Advertisement. I didn't expect that it was you who invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, Sengoku said in surprise. Edward, you are too stupid, right? You dare to invade this place? Zephyr sneered while looking at Whitebeard's figure. Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane, Whitebeard, who was fighting the 5 elders, also noticed the 4 at this time. His face suddenly became extremely dignified. Although he can now briefly play against the 5 elders, he is still at a significant disadvantage. What's more, there are 3 5 elders who are watching the battle. Those 5 elders alone were enough for him to have a drink with Air. Now, Garp and others are all here. UB ******** D. Since the end of the Valley of the Gods campaign, you created the Whitebeard Pirates. Instead of staying in the New World to develop your own power, did you come from the Holy Land Mariejois to die? 35 Sengoku snorted coldly. The pirate group created by Whitebeard is known throughout the New World. The popularity is one of the best in the whole New World. Sengoku couldn't understand why Whitebeard didn't stay in the New World. Why did he come to the Holy Land Mariejois? I really don't know. Where did you have the courage to fight against the 5 elders? Zephyr sneered. Anyone can see that the current Whitebeard, although he can fight the 5 elders. But it is clearly at a disadvantage. Whitebeard's current strength is indeed not weak, but after all, he has not yet reached the peak of his strength. Although the Battle of the Valley of the Gods was over for a while, Whitebeard's strength has grown rapidly. However, he is now in his 30s at best. You must know that in this pirate world, the peak period of most powerhouses is around 40 to 50 years old. Of course, this must first rule out Wong Luffy's hanging on the wall. Gu la la la. Do we pirates still need to report to you when we do things? Whitebeard sneered. Make a stupid decision that could lead to your death, Edward. Sengoku's mouth rose slightly. Not because of anything else, because Air is also in this holy place Mariejois. At this moment, Garp suddenly pointed in the direction where Air was fighting with the old man with the knife. Of course. This time, he still thinks he can leave alive. But then again, who's fighting the 5 elders over there? I don't think so. Whitebeard snorted. But Whitebeard didn't think he was going to die in this place today. Although, the strength of the 5 elders is indeed very strong. After all, he left alive from 3 top battles, including the Battle of the Hive Island, the Battle of the Holy Land Mariejois, and the Battle of the Valley of the Gods after that. Advertisement Chapter 185 Air is a monster because of Air's battle with the knife-wielding old man. He was completely shrouded in a storm of smoke and dust. Garp could only vaguely see that the two inside were fighting, and the offensive continued to unfold, and the fight was inextricable. But he couldn't see who was inside. To be able to fight the 5 elders to such an extent, is it difficult? Is it Rox, resurrected? Zephyr looked at the 2 figures in the smoke that were constantly on the offensive, and said a little surprised. The strength of the 5 elders, no one knows better than them. After all, they've been with the 5 elders for years. Being able to fight the 5 elders on an equal footing was in Zephyr's mind. Only in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, the Rox, which erupted with unparalleled power in the world, can match it. Resurrected. How is this possible? Rox can't be resurrected after being cut off by Roger. Hearing Zephyr's words, he was stunned for a moment, then shook his head slightly. Although it is said that in this pirate world, there are some people with extremely strong vitality and special physique. But how can anyone be resurrected after being cut off? But other than men like Rox, who else in this sea can fight to a draw with the 5 elders? Zephyr said solemnly. When Garp, Zephyr, Sengoku, and Crane talked a lot and couldn't figure it out. One of the 5 elders who stood by and watched the battle said, "It's air." The words of the 5 elders fell, and the powerhouses of many CP organizations were stunned. Air? Holy shit, what's going on with this monster? It has invaded the Holy Land Mariejois twice, and now it can still compete with Lord 5 elders. Damn, this guy's strength is too terrifying. How long has it been since the war in the Valley of Gods? Has his strength jumped to such a level? Many CP organizations stared at the 2 figures in the dust, shocked to the extreme. To know. The 5 elders are the top leaders of their world government, and they are also the highest combat power of the world government. Holding the supreme power in his hand, he has the power to destroy any pirate in the world. Now, they hear that Air is fighting the 5 elders. Advertisement, Air? Hearing the 5 elders answer, Garp was taken aback. Then some incredible eyes looked at the 2 figures in the smoke. It's really Air who invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, Zephyr said with surprise. Originally they had guessed whether Air had invaded the Holy Land of Mariejois. Now it looks like it's really Air, it's too pervert to improve his strength. Sengoku frowned and said hoarsely. Although Air had fought in the Valley of the Gods, he showed a very strong fighting force. It even beat Admiral Kong of Naval Headquarters, but it was only barely defeated. Now, how long has it been since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods? Air's current combat power is comparable to that of the 5 elders? Even Whitebeard is now at a disadvantage in the fight against the 5 elders. Boom! While everyone was discussing, a figure suddenly appeared in the smoke. It flew backwards, and then slammed into a piece of ruins heavily. There was a deafening sound, and this scene also directly attracted everyone's attention. Yes. Who flew out? What's the point? It must be Air. Could it be that you thought it was Lord 5 elders who flew out? That's right, I was shocked. I thought Air had the strength to compete with Lord 5 elders. Now it seems that he can only fight with him, but he is not a match for Lord 5 elders at all. However, this guy can now compete with Lord 5 elders, and he will be more pervert in the future, but fortunately, this guy came to the Holy Land Mariejois to die. 35. Seeing the 2 figures confronting each other, one of them flew out. They all thought Air was kicked out by the 5 elders. At this time, they couldn't help but secretly rejoiced. Air is the most powerful pirate in the New World. How terrifying the threat of such men is, needless to say. Advertisement if nothing else, the future Air will surely become a character like the Overlord of the New World. But, now Air has appeared in the Holy Land Mariejois. 0. Ask for flowers. You know, there is more to the 5 elders than the 5 elders in the Shrine of Mariejois today. Moreover, Garp, Zephyr, Sengoku, and Crane, the 4 top fighters from Naval Headquarters were all present. They couldn't imagine how Air would escape from the Holy Land of Mariejois alive today. However, it didn't take long for them to be happy. The tornado-like smoke and dust created by Air's confrontation with the knife-wielding old man slowly dissipated. Everyone saw that it was not the 5 elders that stood in the vanishing smoke, but Air. How? How could it be? Am I blinded? How did I see Air? Seeing Air holding Zan Shen, standing above the ruins, he exuded a terrifying aura. This scene directly frightened countless members of the CP organization. Hey, what a joke. If it wasn't Air who was knocked into the air, could it be Lord 5 elders? How is this possible? Lord 5 elders is the highest combat power of our world government. How can Air's strength be higher than that of 5 elders? But a figure was knocked out just now. Since it's not Air, isn't there only one possibility? Looking at the scene in front of them, members of the CP organization commented in horror. Although, they clearly saw Air standing in front of them. But in their hearts, they couldn't admit that it was Air who knocked out the 5 elders. Looking at Air's towering figure, Sengoku's face became extremely serious, and he couldn't believe it. Air, is he capable of repelling the 5 elders? This monster can not only compete with the 5 elders, but even can also repel the 5 elders. How strong is this guy now? Zephyr sucked in a breath and said in surprise. He thought he had trained for so many years in the Holy Land Mariejois. His strength is far from what it used to be, and he can seek revenge on Air. But, watching the battle situation in front of my eyes, only then did he realize that his own strength was far from Air's. Because Air is not a human at all, but a real monster. Beg. Chapter 186 5 Elders. This is a dead end, how do you break it? However, no matter how strong this guy is, he can't escape death today, he said with murderous intent in his eyes. Air is really strong, and can even defeat the 5 elders by himself. But, Don't forget. In addition to the 5 elders who are at war with Whitebeard, there are 3 other Mariejois in this holy place. At the same time, the 4 of them were still present. Plus the other powerhouses of the world government, no matter how heaven-defying Heir's strength is. Sengoku can't believe it, Heir can leave alive today. Heir. Garp yelled at Heir. Hearing this familiar voice, Heir turned his head slightly and noticed Garp and the others. Garp. What's the matter, why are Marines people in the Holy Land Mariejois? Although, Heir still has a lot of cards. 753, but if Garp and the others are also in this place, it will make him a little troublesome. Heir, what is the purpose of invading the Holy Land Mariejois? Sengoku stared at Heir and asked. Heir, he believed, had no purpose, certainly not in such a dangerous place as the Holy Land Mariejois. Invasion? This can't be called an invasion, but someone from the world government invited me over to discuss cooperation. Heir glanced at a few people and said calmly. Talk about cooperation. What a joke, does the world government need to talk about cooperation with a pirate with you? Zephyr snorted coldly. Don't lie, Heir, the world government can't discuss cooperation with the pirates. 35 Crane also doesn't believe it. During the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, world government invited the Roger Pirates and the Walled Pirates to join the battle. But in the end, the Roger Pirates beheaded 2 admirals in their naval headquarters. And Berndi Wald directly used his ability to fire artillery shells after the battle. I want to kill everyone on the Valley of the Gods. After the Valley of the Gods incident, Marines' hatred for pirates has reached its peak. Advertisement, and they don't believe that the world government will be stupid enough to discuss cooperation with the pirates again. You can ask the world government about this kind of thing. 35. Hear this from Heir. Garp, Zephyr, Sengoku, Crane and others all set their sights on the 5 elders not far away. He. Do you believe what this guy Heir said? Our world government will not discuss cooperation with a pirate. The blonde old man sneered. After the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, almost all Marines hate pirates very much. It is extremely repulsive to join forces with pirates. So the 5 elders naturally wouldn't say the purpose of Heir's presence here, it was the intention to join forces with them. After all, Heir is the most powerful pirate in the New World. If Garp and others had known, world government had planned to cooperate with Heir, then there is no doubt that they will reject the world government. After all, in their view, it is extremely shameful to join forces with pirates. Heir, although I don't know what the purpose of your invasion of the Holy Land Mariejois is, but with such a stupid reason, do you think everyone present will believe it? The long straight-haired old man stroked his beard and said solemnly. They need to cover up the fact that they are working with Heir. Definitely can't let Garp and others know that their world government had planned to cooperate with Heir. After listening to Sengoku and the others, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and then looked directly at Heir with killing intent in their eyes. I just said, how could the world government give you a pirate cooperation? You guys have done something shameful, but dare not admit it? Heir sneered while looking at the 5 elders. Don't talk nonsense, Heir. It's too naive to want to throw dirty water on us, the 35-year-old blonde man said slowly. Not far away, the old man with a knife who had been knocked out by Heir. He also appeared in everyone's sight again, and his whole body was full of killing intent, staring at Heir and said coldly. However, whatever your purpose in invading the Holy Land Mariejois today, you will die here today. 35. Although they do want to talk to Heir about a partnership. But with the failure of negotiations, they already want to get rid of Heir. Today, in any case, they certainly couldn't let Heir leave this place alive. Let me be your opponent, Heir. Advertisement Garp wrapped a layer of armament hockey on his fist and stared at Heir with fiery eyes. Today Garp is in the Holy Land Mariejois 0. Trained by the 5 elders, his strength has never been the same. Even against today's Heir, Garp thinks he has the power to fight. Just when Garp was about to attack Heir, the voice of the blonde old man suddenly reached his ears. You step back, Garp, this is a matter between our world government. 95. Heir, after all, was invited by their world government to discuss cooperation. Today, if the cooperation has not been reached, then naturally it should be handled by their world government. If we go together, wouldn't we be able to kill the enemy Heir faster? Sengoku said. Although Heir's strength is strong, it's not enough for you to interfere in this battle. You should just watch from the side. The blonde old man put his hands on his back and said lightly. As the highest authority, the 5 elders are naturally particularly proud. What is the need for Marines' help in the battle involving their world government? In his opinion, Heir only used Devil Fruit's ability, so he has such combat power. As long as they can hold out until Heir's ability ends, then they're sure to win. Of course, with the words of 5 elders alone, I'm afraid it won't be able to stop Heir's ability to end. Now, he also intends to personally fight against Heir. Hear the 5 elders say so. The old man with a sword has a very strong swordsmanship. The blonde old man took off his black suit and shrugged his tie. Garp and the others looked at each other, but didn't say anything, but stepped aside. And the blonde old man possesses extremely strong physical skills. The speed of the two was extremely fast, and in an instant, they appeared on the left and right sides of Air. 4.3. With your current strength, any of us fighting alone with you may not be an opponent, but if we both go together, Air, can stop us? 55. You'll know if you try it. Air said calmly. It's an arrogant guy, but he achieved this level of strength with the help of Devil Fruit's ability, but being able to die with the cooperation of the two of us is the last face we give you before you die. The words fell, and the old man with the knife rushed towards Air at the same time as the blonde old man. Chapter 187 Shen Luo Tianzheng, Universal Pull manipulates the battlefield, please order. The two appear to the left and right of Air at the same time. Armor color and Conqueror's Haki are wrapped around the fist and the blade at the same time. Shen Luo Tianzheng. Watching the two approaching with extreme speed, Air directly used Rinnegan's ability. This ability. It is a terrifying move that can fly all the objects, attacks, and characters around it with itself as the center. I saw Air slowly stretched out an arm, and in the next second, an extremely violent repulsive force centered on him and quickly spread out in all directions. The 5 elders who were about to arrive in front of Air were directly blown away by this violent force. Not only that, the gravel, sandy soil around Air, as well as the surrounding Garp and others, as well as members of the CP organization, were also ejected and sent into the distance. The power of Shen Luo Tianzheng can be seen as a Madara. The members of the many CP organizations stabilized their bodies and looked at Air Road with some surprise. Damn, what ability did this guy use just now, to be able to blast Lord 5 Elders out? According to our master's information, Air has never released such an ability before. Could it be that his devil fruit has been developed again and gained new abilities? Damn it, what the hell is going on with this guy's ability? It's too pervert. Since Air joined the Rox group, the highlights have continued. Every time he fights with Marine, he will use his powerful abilities. And it's not the same almost every time. It stands to reason that the more abilities a devil fruit has, the stronger it is. It is impossible to reach the level of pervert like Air. Interesting ability. 35 The knife-wielding old man was not far from the blonde old man, and looked at Air with a slightly wary expression. When they were about to approach Air just now, they felt an extremely terrifying repulsive force. That power made them completely unable to get close to Air. Don't kill him later. If we can get the secret of devil fruit from his mouth, and then get devil fruit in his body, maybe our world government can cultivate a monster that is not inferior to him. 99. The blonde old man looked at Air, and a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. Air's abilities are truly terrifying. Not only can his own strength skyrocket several times in a short period of time. Moreover, it is possible to use a variety of extremely devastating abilities, as well as moves beyond common sense. Advertisement: if only they could know the secret of the devil fruit inside Air. Then get the devil fruit in Air. They must be confident and cultivate a monster that is not inferior to Air. Then do this. The old man with the knife nodded. Originally their idea was to let Air die directly in the Holy Land Mariejois. But now they have changed their minds. They want to know the secret of Air devil fruit. Tread. The two stomped on the ground with their footsteps, and a large pit shattered directly on the ground plane. The speed of the two was like a gust of wind whistling, extremely fast, approaching Air at an extreme speed. Universal pull. Watching the approaching 5 elders, Air was in his arms again, using his abilities. The ability of universal pull is almost the exact opposite of Shinra Tianzheng. Shen Luo Tianzheng can take itself as the center, radiate a powerful repulsive force to the surrounding, and shake everything around it. Universal pull, on the other hand, can take itself as the center and generate a strong attraction towards the specified goal. You can attract your opponent to your side. At the same time, it can also move the designated target to other places with the help of strong gravitational force. Air unleashes the ability of universal pull on the blonde old man. The terrifying gravitational force controlled the blonde old man's body, directly moving him back 100 meters. How is it possible? 35 The blonde old man's pupils contracted violently. He only felt an irresistible force in his body that was interfering with his actions. In the next second, he was directly moved to a distance of 100 meters away. Next, it's just the two of us. Air is holding a slasher. Wrapped in the armed color and Conqueror's Haki, he charged directly towards the old man with the knife. Air's current strength, on a one-on-one basis, makes even the 5 elders impossible to match. But if the 5 elders were to join forces at the same time, it would put a lot of pressure on Air. So, he has to use his abilities as much as possible to create a one-on-one situation with the 5 elders. Come on then. Even though the old man with the knife was only one person, he was not afraid at all and approached air at a very fast speed. The figures of the two kept approaching, and then the blades collided. Advertisement, boom. A huge momentum like the sky and the earth swept the entire Holy Land Mariejois. With this collision, neither air nor the old man with the knife retained any strength. I have to say that the knife-wielding old man is indeed the Five Elders. His superb swordsmanship and almost unrivaled swordsmanship, coupled with the demon sword first-generation Goosh, his strength is outrageous. If not as expected by air, as far as swordsmanship is concerned, in the entire world today, he is probably the real world's greatest swordsman. The two men's attacks collided for a few seconds. After all, the old man with the knife couldn't withstand air's offensive and was directly knocked out. At the same time, the blonde old man who was 100 meters away also arrived in front of air. Air! The blonde old man roared. Fist is wrapped in chilling armament colors and conqueror's hockey. With all his strength, he swung his fist at air. The knife-wielding 753 old man who was repelled just now rushed towards air again immediately. The situation turned into a two-man siege against air. Zhen Shen, the cliff. Air's arm showed blue veins, and he clenched Zanjin tightly, pouring the hockey in his body into the blade. Then he slammed towards the two of them. Boom! Accompanied by a huge roar, the terrifying momentum shot straight into the sky. The clouds in the sky were scattered by the three people's offensive. As can be seen, centered on air et al., a white energy group visible to the naked eye quickly spread in all directions with the three at the center. The offensive of the three directly caused the ground to sink several meters. A large pit with a depth of several meters appeared directly in the area of tens of meters in radius, and the edge of the pit was full of torn ground. With the disappearance of the light, damn, what a joke, Lord Five Elders is the highest combat power of our world government. Now that the two Lord Five Elders have joined forces, he has actually blocked the attack. This guy's ability is too pervert. His current strength has surpassed anyone in our presence. Everyone only felt that there was a dazzling light flashing in front of them. Block. Block, this guy air, actually blocked the joint attack of the two Five Elders, 35. Chapter 188 The Future 3 Admiral, Kazaru, Akainu, Aokiji. Looking at everything in front of them, the members of the CP organization were stunned. One of the Five Elders has the top combat power that can surpass the entire sea. Now, the two Five Elders have joined forces and can be blocked by air. They knew that air had used his abilities to increase his strength to the level of pervert. But I never imagined that pervert would reach such a level. Air. Garp stared at air's figure, his expression extremely solemn. No matter how confident Garp is in his own strength now, neither is 100% sure of being able to beat a Five Elders. But now, air has directly blocked the attack of the two Five Elders with his own power. This guy air, it is estimated that he used the ability similar to the Battle of Hive Island to make his strength soar to such a point. This guy's ability. Really pervert is extreme. Sengoku frowned, wrinkled, said solemnly. Although this ability is very strong, but, if there is no accident, there is a time limit. It is impossible for air to maintain this state for too long, he said slowly. In the Battle of Hive Island that year, air's ultimate combat power broke out. Cooperating with Whitebeard and others, it is very possible to destroy the many Marines there present. But air didn't do that, and escaped with Whitebeard and the others. Air did not use this ability during the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. This made them more certain that air's abilities were not only limited in time. And after using it once, it can't be used again for a long time. Although the ability is pervert to ultimate, the limit is not low. Fortunately this fellow air, for some unknown purpose, has invaded the Holy Land of Mariejois, and the Five Elders will deal with him personally. If this guy hadn't invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, and when we went out to sea to meet air, he would use his ability like this, and we feared that there would be a catastrophe. If it weren't for the Five Elders not letting them go to sea. Otherwise, the current Zephyr would have gone to sea to find air for revenge. And once he did, wait for air to unleash such abilities. He will definitely not be an opponent, and what awaits him is death. Zephyr at this time couldn't help but be thankful that the Five Elders didn't let them go to sea. Fortunately, air did not know because of the invasion of the Holy Land Mariejois. Advertisement now, no matter how pervert air's ability is, he will die in this place today. The Holy Land Mariejois is engaged in a fierce confrontation. Meanwhile, on the other side, naval headquarters, Marine are numerous. The highest building of naval headquarters is the conference room of Marshal Marine. The current Marshal Marine is Kong, and he is sitting in the office drinking tea at this time. Kakaka. As the door slowly opened, 3 young men walked in. I saw one person wearing a marine hat and a yellow shirt. The other was wearing a marine hat and a red shirt with a knife blade on his back. The other person was wearing a black shirt with slightly dark skin and black sunglasses. Kong, sitting in the chair, noticed the three, took a sip of tea, and said, "Is something wrong, Paluzolino, Sakazuki, Kuzan?" "That's right, these three youths are the future Naval Headquarters 3 Admiral. Although they are young now, they rely on extremely strong talents. Now, all three of them have reached the level of Colonel. And it was jointly evaluated by Naval Headquarters and World Government as a 3-star for Naval Headquarters. This is enough to prove that Marine and the World Government have a high evaluation of these three people. Marshal Kong, we're going to New World." Standing in the middle of the three, Akainu crossed his arms in front of his chest and said solemnly, "Because the number of pirates in New World is too large, it is too dangerous. And the World Government issued another order. Let them marine all these years, and don't make too much of a move in New World. Focus on developing new talent. So when a Marine wants to go to the New World, he must report to Marshal Marine." And although Akainu is still very young, he has begun to implement absolute justice in his heart. He wants to go to New World now and catch those pirates. Advertisement. Hearing Akainu's words, Kong was slightly startled. Then he lightly sipped a cup of tea and placed it on the table, looking at several people seriously. "If you are here just for this, I advise you to go back. Because Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane are still training at the Holy Land Mariejois. So, now they Marine have no plans to enter the New World. At this time, if Akainu, Kazaru, and Aokiji are sent to the extremely dangerous New World, wouldn't that push them up the fire pit?" I said. "Marshal Kong, it would be too boring to stay here all the time. We have almost caught the pirates of the Grand Line. It's time to go to New World," Aokiji said. Although Aokiji was lazy after becoming admiral, he still has some positivity. Not because of other things, but because the pirates of the Grand Line are almost caught. And staying at Naval Headquarters for training every day is also extremely boring. Therefore, now he also has a lot of interest in what is called the most dangerous sea area, the New World. "Well, New World is dangerous, but isn't that place a good training ground?" 35 Kazaru expressed his opinion. "The current level of chaos in the New World is a bit more dangerous than in the Rox era. Now we Marine have no idea of entering the New World. If we want to go, just wait. Rox times, though dangerous, but because of Luo, Zhao Lihao, the strength of the KX regiment is extremely strong. At that time, not many pirates in New World dared to show up at that time. But now, with the fall of the Rox regiment, the main cadres on the ship have all come out to speak out. As Marine who maintains the justice of the world, but because he is afraid of the pirate power of the New World, he dare not enter the New World. Can we still be called Marine?" Akainu said sternly. "Let Samsung, Akainu, Kazaru, Aokiji from Naval Headquarters go to New World. They would choose to send troops to guard New World. And it has grown to the point of being extremely dangerous. Kong, naturally not at this juncture. Today's era is really more dangerous than the Rox era. Unless it was Garp and others who ended their training at the Holy Land Mariejois. At the same time, the pirates who didn't dare to show their faces in the Rox era are now flourishing in New World." Chapter 189. We want to see the big pirates of the New World, please order. "Sakazuki, you have the determination to implement justice, which really makes me very happy, but the danger level of New World is far beyond your imagination," Kong sighed. Kong does take Akainu very seriously. After all, he became a colonel at a very light grade. Many vicious pirates were caught in the Grand Line, and they made a firm contribution to their Marines. It also carries the name of justice into the heart. This kind of character is not only him, but also the senior management of the entire Naval Headquarters especially appreciates him. But at the same time, Kong is a little worried about Akainu's character. After all, he is too strong. "Alala. Does that mean, no matter how much we request today, we can't go to New World?" Aokiji scratched his head. "Yes." Kong nodded. Hearing this, Akainu, Kazaru, and Aokiji glanced at each other and then prepared to leave. After all, Kong has made it very clear that they will not be sent to the New World no matter what. So it's just a waste of time to stay here. When several people were about to leave, there was a sound of footsteps outside the corridor. Tread. First saw several Marine executives and rushed to the door of Kong's office quickly. "You guys, what are you doing in such a hurry?" Kong asked with a frown. 753, Steel. "Marshal Kong, there is news from the world government that Air, the strongest pirate in the New World, and Edward Newgate, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, have invaded the Holy Land Mariejois." The top management gasped and hurriedly reported. "What?" Hearing this, Kong's pupils shrank. Air is not doing a commissioning agency at New World. Hasn't there been much movement all these years, while Whitebeard has had a lot of big moves in the sea over the years? But it's been a lot more peaceful recently. Now, what are these two guys doing invading the Holy Land Mariejois? Air. Akainu frowned slightly, thinking. Although he is now in the first half of the Grand Line, he has never seen New World. But for the name Air, he has heard it countless times. Advertisement after all, Air was awarded the title of the strongest pirate in New World by the world government. Has one of the strongest pirates in the New World, a captain of one of the best pirates in the New World, invaded the Holy Land Mariejois? These two guys are really confusing. 35. Kizaru thought about it seriously. We haven't been to New World yet, we can't even figure out what the New World pirates think. Aokiji spread his hands. Although Aokiji had never met Air and Whitebeard, he knew about these two men. They are all top pirates in the New World, but the strong man of Holy Land Mariejois is not inferior to these two. Aokiji couldn't guess what the two were doing when they invaded the Holy Land Mariejois. Kong was silent for a few seconds and looked at the top marine and asked, "Is the news true?" "Yes." "What was the purpose of their invasion of the Holy Land of Mariejois?" "No, I don't know." The senior marine shook his head slightly. "These two guys won't take a huge risk and invade the Holy Land Mariejois for no reason. They must have their purpose," Kong said with a solemn expression. The last time Air and others invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, it was to find the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods. And in that invasion, Air and the others even fought against the Five Elders. Kong sure. The invasion in which Air and others stole the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods. Has deeply realized how terrible the power of the Five Elders is. But, now that the horrors of the power of the Five Elders are known, and the dangers of the Holy Land Mariejois. This time, Air teamed up with Whitebeard again to invade the Holy Land of Mariejois. Then there must be their purpose, or they dare to invade only when they are sure. After Kong thought for a moment, his eyes were firm. "I'm going to the Holy Land Mariejois." Although Kong knew that the holy place of Mariejois at this time was not only the Five Elders. There were even Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane present. But he was still a little worried. After all, Air is too much of a threat to him. He was always worried whether Air had any plans to invade the Holy Land Mariejois this time. "Marshal Kong, let's go together too," Akainu said. "Advertisement, what are you doing?" Kong glanced at Akainu suspiciously. "I can't go to New World, but at least we want to meet the big pirates of New World," 35 Aokiji said. "Let's just go over and watch. Marshal Kong can't take away this right," Kizaru said slowly. Kong looked at the three of them and was silent for a while, before Kong said with a very serious expression. "Then let's go together. After reaching the place, you guys must not approach the two dangerous guys Air and Edward, 99. When Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Suru were still colonels, they were already on missions in the New World. Moreover, it is still a dangerous mission to observe the Rox group. And by the generation of Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, they became Colonel Marine. But I haven't even been to New World. Kong considered that he needed to let the three of them see the world, so he agreed to take them with him. Understood. All three nodded. In the battlefield. Air uses Shinra's quest and universal pulls abilities. Keep pulling the battlefield against two Five Elders. Although Air is extremely confident in his own strength. But he also knew that at the same time, his chances of winning were slim. Therefore, he needs to use his ability to avoid the 1-2 situation as much as possible. But the cooperation between the Five Elders is tacit. At the beginning, Air can also catch a one-on-one opportunity. Slammed into Air. Sure enough, when the two lords of the Five Elders join forces, Air is only able to fight against them, but not at all, 99. "Air, can you block this punch? I remember that there is still a time limit for this guy to use the ability to increase his own strength. Now, before the end, he is no match for Lord Five Elders. After the end, he will surely die in this holy place, Mariejois." Air's figure flew backwards at extreme speed, and moved a full 100 meters before stabilizing the figure. As the fight went on, Air couldn't find a one-on-one situation with the Five Elders. Air was knocked back, accompanied by the blonde old man charging a punch. In each encounter, Air faces attacks from two Five Elders at the same time. Chapter 190 Sage Art, Wood Style True Several Thousand Hands. Seeing that Air was knocked out by the blonde old man, many people in the CP organization immediately became excited. Air's combat power really shocked everyone present. But they also know that Air can't maintain this state for too long, and sooner or later they will lose here. Your strength and ability are really good, but facing both of us at the same time, you have no chance of winning, Air. The old man with the knife carried the blade on his shoulder, and said lightly. However, to be able to hold on for so long with the two of us together, I have to say that you are very good, Air. Although Air is their enemy. But Air's ability and strength are indeed worthy of the blonde old man's praise. If nothing else happens, your ability will end soon, right? What are you going to do then? Kneel down and beg for mercy? The knife-wielding old man sneered at the corners of his mouth, looking like he was eating, ding Air. Kneel down and beg for mercy. This is indeed a good idea, but Even if you really kneel down on me, I will still choose to kill you. Air approached the 2-5 elders step by step, his expression indifferent. Even now facing the teaming up of the 2-5 elders, it is slightly at a disadvantage. But he still doesn't take anyone present in his eyes. After all, the current heir only used the experience card to increase its strength several times. Rinnegan's quest for Shinra and the power of universal pull. Wood style, Sage mode, 10 tails power he has not used. He. Death is imminent. Do you still want to keep your mouth shut, heir? I'm really curious, what kind of painful expression will you have when we capture you alive and experiment with you? The blonde old man's mouth slightly raised. They did not intend to kill heir today, rather decide. Research heir to find out the secret of his physique and the secret of his devil fruit. And try to get the devil fruit inside heir. I'm also curious, what will the expressions of you guys dying under me look like later? Heir said calmly. Ha ha ha. Arrogant guy. The words fell, and the blonde old man and the knife-wielding old man charged towards heir again. Sage mode. Heir slammed lightly and used the power of Sage mode directly. I saw black eyeliners appearing on the corners of heir's eyes and on his forehead. Heir's body began to continuously absorb the surrounding natural power, and then merged into his own body. Advertisement after entering this mode, heir's speed, strength, and insight have been enhanced again. Choke. After entering this mode, heir put Zan Shen in his hand directly back into the scabbard. Then he put his hands together and said lightly, Senju, wood-style Senju. Now the battle time has passed for a while. Heir also doesn't plan to keep holding too many cards. After all, once the strength increases several times, the experience card expires. B. He would be dangerous. Boom. As heir's voice fell, the ground beneath his feet shook violently. The scene suddenly set off thick smoke, covering everyone's sight. Through the thick smoke, everyone can see. A gigantic Buddha statue that was even more magnificent than a mountain slowly stood up from below the ground level. And behind the Buddha statue, there are thousands of huge arms. Every arm is as thick as the legendary treasure tree Atom. Wood-style true several thousand hands, is the strongest ability of Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas, none of them. This move, in addition to being inconvenient to move, and too huge. Other than the first time, there are no flaws. The power of wood-style true several thousand hands is enough to destroy the world. The huge Buddha statue that stood up, and the sturdy arm behind him. It exudes the aura of ultimate danger. A sense of terrifying oppression shrouded everyone's hearts. What is this? Just kidding. How does this guy have this ability? Holy shit, since the end of the Valley of the Gods campaign, what the hell did this guy heir go through? How did he develop devil fruit to such a degree that he was able to summon such a behemoth? 5. This Buddha statue is estimated to be close to several hundred meters. Close to a few hundred meters. How is it possible? At least close to 1,000 meters. 0. Ask for flowers. Advertisement, is this guy really human? No, this guy is not a human at all, but a monster above rocks. Looking at the huge Buddha statue that cannot be seen at a glance. Countless members of the CP organization sat on the ground in fright. Under this wood-style real tree Senju, they are as small as ants. The sense of ultimate oppression that exudes is pressing to the soul, causing them to stand upside down and tremble all over. This guy. Garp's forehead was startled with cold sweat. Some incredulous glances at the Senju Buddha statue almost towering into the sky. That huge sense of oppression made him feel a lot of pressure. In previous battles, heir has never released this ability. This guy is really a monster. He has developed this ability again. 33 Sengoku couldn't help but gasped. During their previous contact between Marine and heir. Then I saw heir unleash a variety of terrifying abilities. But the wood-style true several thousand hands released today have directly refreshed their cognition. Let them know that it turns out to be alone. To be able to develop and release such terrifying moves. Heir, he was able to fight against the 2-5 elders without using this ability. Now that he has released such ability, I'm afraid. We need to appear. 99. Zephyr looked serious. When heir didn't release wood-style true several thousand hands. You can use other abilities to fight 2-5 elders at the same time. Although it is at a disadvantage, but it is enough to prove how terrifying the strength of heir in normal state. Today, Senju, a wood-style real tree with a height of 1,000 meters, has been released. Today's heir, with only the words of the 2-5 elders, is afraid that he can't win at all. Because no one knows, this huge Buddha statue, and what terrifying power will be exerted by the thousands of magnificent arms behind it. I am more and more grateful that heir, this monster, has invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, because only in this Holy Land Mariejois, we can join forces to kill him. 99. Crane wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and looked solemnly begging. Chapter 191 The 3-5 Elders join forces. I thought that being able to increase my strength several times was already Air's strongest ability. But unexpectedly, Air released wood-style true several thousand hands backhand, which is enough to shock the world. He stared at this huge Buddha statue that was even bigger than the mountains. In the entire holy land of Mariejois, no one can maintain a calm color. Whitebeard, who was fighting with the scarred old man, glanced at Air and laughed. "Gu la la la. Air, I knew you would always surprise me." Every time he fights alongside Air, Air unleashes the ultimate terror. This time is no exception. The scarred old man glanced at the huge Buddha statue and stared at Whitebeard with a serious expression. "Edward, if you can explain the secret of Air's body to me now, I might consider letting you go." 753. Although, the 5 elders are definitely going to get rid of Air today. However, the scarred old man is also very clear that this ability released by Air will be very tricky. Besides, they are not sure if Air has other abilities. He thought the other 5 elders would definitely be able to take out Air. But it is still necessary to know the secrets of Air's body and reduce some troubles. "Are you kidding me? How could I expose my friend's secret to you?" 33 Whitebeard snorted coldly. Although he said so, in fact, Whitebeard didn't know the secret of Air's body at all. However, even if Whitebeard really knew, he would never tell the scarred old man. "Then, you made a stupid choice and you will die here today." 99. The scarred old man stepped on his feet, and his figure was like a ghost, quickly approaching Whitebeard. After wrapping his fist with armor and conqueror's haki, he slammed his fist towards Whitebeard. The 5 elders are the manipulators of this world, the supreme ruler. All 5 elders have awakened conqueror's haki. And all of them have been trained to full level. The terrifying and oppressive feeling transmitted from the scarred old man enveloped Whitebeard. Tiankonquake. Whitebeard's face was solemn, his arms burst into blue veins, and he held Kong Yunki tightly with both hands. I saw the tip of the cloud cut, and a white ball cover visible to the naked eye appeared. This is the power of his devil fruit. Advertisement. Since the Rox disbanded, Whitebeard has developed shock fruit's abilities to terrifying levels. Because of this, the world government defines Whitebeard as having the power to destroy the world. Boom! Whitebeard's cloud cut collided with the scarred old man's fist. The terrifying momentum directly shook all directions. The momentum of the two instantly climbed to the top, like 2 giant beasts roaring. However, there was some strength gap between Whitebeard and the old man with scars. Although I can barely resist, but it can't last too long. Meanwhile, on the other side, at this time, Air was standing on top of Senju Buddha statue. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and glanced at the many strong men under him with contempt. Wood-style true several thousand hands, itself possesses extremely terrifying combat power. Not to mention, the current Air experience card, which has increased its strength several times, has not yet expired. That is, the wood-style true several thousand hands that Air has now released. It is several times more terrifying than the wood-style true several thousand hands under normal circumstances. Although, wood-style Maki Senju is not Air's strongest trump card. But he felt that using such an ability was enough to fight against more than 5 elders. Damn, it's a little tricky. The old man with the knife pushed his glasses and looked solemnly at the huge Buddha statue in front of him. He had no idea that Air had such terrifying abilities. Although he has not yet fought, he can already feel a huge sense of oppression from the Buddha statue in front of him. The long straight-haired old man walked slowly behind the two of them and said with his hands on his back. "Just based on the words of the two of you, I'm afraid that you are no longer his opponent. Let me come too." It was originally used by the knife-wielding old man and the blonde old man 5 elders to deal with Air. But with Air releasing wood-style true several thousand hands, he knew. Based on the 5 elders alone, there's a good chance they're not a match for Air. If you add him, then, he thinks they still have a great chance of winning. "I really didn't expect that to deal with a kid. We need the 3 of us to join forces." The blonde old man laughed at himself. They are the 5 elders, who have ruled the world for hundreds of years. Advertisement be at the top of the world. Now, to deal with an Air, but the 3 of them need to join forces. No way, this guy Air's abilities are too weird. The 3 of us will get rid of him as soon as possible so that we can study the secrets of his body. The 35-year-old man with straight hair reminded. Although he said, he also felt that the face of the 3-player was dull. But Air's ability is really too weird, a monster. Therefore, they can only use the tactics of playing more and playing less. Garp on the side clenched his fists and said, "We have to fight too." Since long ago, after being defeated by Air, Garp always wanted to find an opportunity to confront Air, in order to avenge the defeat of the year. But never had a chance. Now, Air unleashes such terrifying abilities. It also made Garp have a fighting spirit and wanted to join forces with the 5 elders and fight against Air. If we go together, I believe that this guy Air will be eliminated soon, Sengoku also suggested. Our strength is indeed not as good as yours, but not weak, Zephyr echoed. Although, they are not as powerful as the 5 elders now. Not as good as today's Air, but all 3 of them want to join the war and deal with the monster Air 4.3 in person. You guys, just watch from the side, we don't need your assistance, the old man with the knife glanced at a few people and said calmly. As the 5 elders, they are extremely powerful, also has a lot of pride. This made their faces pale. How could it be possible to rely on Marine's help now? Garp et al. Want to say something more. The blonde old man directly interrupted. Are you underestimating our strength? Where does this put their faces? Of course not. Zephyr shook his head. But to deal with a kid, they need 3 people to join forces. Air to them. Just a kid. Chapter 192 Monster-like ability to suppress the 5 elders. If not, then watch it carefully. This battlefield is located in the Holy Land of Mariejois, which is the territory of our world government. In this case, we will solve this enemy on our own. Hearing the words of the 5 elders, Garp and the others suddenly glanced at them, then sighed helplessly, and then came to the side. Naturally, they knew very well that the 5 elders were unusually proud. So, no matter what they said, the 5 elders would not allow them to go to war. Come on Air, let the 3 of us be your opponents. The old man with the knife, the old man with blonde hair, and the old man with long straight hair stood in front of the statue of Air Senju. The strength of each of the 3 of them is particularly terrifying. Whether it's taijutsu, swordsmanship, hockey, everyone cultivates to the pinnacle. In addition, they have been companions for many years, and the cooperation of the 3 of them is also very strong. Just the 3 of you are not qualified enough, Air said calmly. If you only rely on Rinnegan's ability and the strength increase several times to experience the power of the card. Air faced off against 3 extremely powerful 5 elders at the same time, and they certainly couldn't be opponents. But now he has released wood-style true several thousand hands. 03 really didn't take the 3-5 elders together. He. It's really arrogant, I want to see how long you can hold on with the 3 of us working together. The old man with the knife sneered. You don't need to say more nonsense, get rid of this guy as soon as possible. The blonde old man snorted coldly. The long straight-haired old man gave an order, and the 3 of them suddenly burst into flames and went straight to Air on the head of the Senju Buddha statue. In their opinion, as long as they can get close to Air, the 3 team up. You can take down Air directly in the first place. Since then, the wood-style true several thousand hands released by Air has no effect at all. The speed of the 3 was extremely fast, rushing towards Air from 3 directions at their fastest speed. Sage art wood-style true several thousand hands the top of the pot. Air sat cross-legged on top of the Senju Buddha statue, clasping his hands together and making a light slam. Boom boom. Next second, the thousands of arms behind the hand Buddha statue moved instantly, making a violent popping sound. Thousands of arms, and ready to go, exude a chilling and frightening aura. As Air's thoughts moved, countless arms attacked the 3-5 elders directly. Advertisement, boom. 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 39 The countless huge arms smashed into the positions of the 3-5 elders. The massive sturdy arms directly submerged the 3-5 elders under him. The ground level shook violently, as if a major earthquake had occurred. The momentum that was set off spread to every inch of the top of the red line. Senju Buddha statue is like a rainbow, and its power is even more powerful than shocking the entire holy land of Mariejois. As you can see, Air's confrontation with the 5 elders is only a few moments away. The great sanctuary of Mariejois. Nearly half of the buildings, the ground level has been destroyed and become a rubble. I believe that just repairing these damaged places will cost the world government a lot of money. Of course, that's not Air's concern. After all, this is not his territory, he can destroy it at will. Boom. 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 There were several rounds of loud noises, and the countless arms, like a surging tsunami, completely submerged the ground where the 3-5 elders were. At the scene, only the rising gray smoke and dust, and the towering Senju Buddha statue can be seen. But there was no sign of the 3-5 elders at all. 5. Lord 5 elders. Damn, what the hell is going on with this guy's ability? The 3-5 elders joined forces and were actually suppressed by his ability. Damn it, how long has it been since then? Why is his strength perverted to this point? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that our world government's top fighting force, the 5 elders, joined forces with the 3 of them, and this guy Air had the upper hand. Are we going up there to help? Help? What are you joking about? Looking at the scene in front of them, the members of countless CP organizations were extremely frightened. No one was too close to the battlefield, and they retreated directly to a distance of several hundred meters. Not for other reasons. Because of the horror of wood-style true several thousand hands released by air. Now it is deeply imprinted into their souls. At this time, they didn't even dare to approach. What a joke. What kind of monster ability is this? Advertisement Sengoku was startled with cold sweat on his forehead as he stared at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Although he knew that the wood-style senju released by air was extremely powerful. But, I never imagined that the 3-5 elders would not have the upper hand when they joined forces. Instead, it was suppressed by air's ability. Air's current combat power has completely surpassed the strength of the Battle of the Hive Island and the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. At this time, Sengoku couldn't help but regret that when he was in the Valley of the Gods. All marine power should be used to get rid of air. Has your strength reached this level, air? Garp said gloomily. Damn, even though I don't want to admit it, air's strength is now estimated to have surpassed the 5 elders by too much, and even more, far above us. 35. Zephyr clenched his fists and said solemnly. Zephyr was defeated by air at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. In Holy Land Mariejois trained with the 5 elders. Every day and every night, he did not stop, and carried out high-intensity devil training 753 all day long. The purpose is to catch up with air, surpass air, and defeat him. But now, seeing air's current strength with his own eyes, Zephyr felt an endless sense of powerlessness in his heart. The 5 elders suddenly appeared beside Zephyr and patted his shoulder calmly. Don't think too much of air, Zephyr. Hearing the words of the 5 elders, Zephyr was startled at first, then shook his head slightly. In this situation, it's not that I think highly of him. One person fights 3-5 elders bloody and does not fall behind. Zephyr didn't think highly of air, but sincerely felt the horror of air. His ability is indeed very strong. According to our guess, his ability has a time limit, 5. But, now it seems that his ability is definitely a great loss to his body. To put it bluntly, it is to force his life to use his ability. After the Battle of the Hive, the 5 elders negotiated. It is inferred that air's ability can give his own strength a terrifying increase. Since a devil fruit can bestow such a terrifying power of augmentation. Then the limit is also great, as they guessed, since the end of the Battle of the Hive Island. In the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, air did not use the ability to increase his own strength. Now, air is once again using his augmented powers in his fight against the 5 elders. They were not surprised by this. Chapter 193 Air is going to lose? Since it's been a long time since the Battle of the Hive, the side effects of the air devil fruit's time limit may have come to an end. But air has unleashed such a supernatural ability. This led the 5 elders to guess that air's abilities could not be limited to time alone. Possibly, life will be lost, for example, the phantom beast species Nika fruit that they once knew about. This fruit can give the host extremely powerful combat power, but it will consume life. The 5 elders couldn't believe air's ability to unleash such terrifying powers without losing his life. His ability will deplete his lifespan? Zephyr asked in surprise. Yes, although it will consume lifespan, but his devil fruit is indeed unusual. 5 elders nodded. Although according to his guess, air's abilities are used at the cost of life. But it can exert such a power that is enough to shock the world. Air's devil fruit ability can definitely be ranked among the top in the world. And he explained this to Zephyr et al. That's because he didn't want the terrifying power that air displayed today to affect the hearts of Zephyr and others. After all, if once affected, Zephyr and others will unconsciously decide in their hearts that they are completely incomparable to air. As a result, the strength is likely to stagnate. Then what kind of devil fruit is air eating? The crane on the side asked. We don't know this at the moment, but we will know soon. The old man in a black suit smiled slightly. Although, on the battlefield now, it is indeed air who has the upper hand. But he didn't think that air could last in this form for long. Air will definitely be defeated by them today. At that time, they can arrest air for research. After a while, in the battlefield, the Senju Buddha statue sits cross-legged in the center, with the endless arms behind him constantly smashing at the 5 elders. The gigantic shrine of Mariejois, with nearly half of its buildings, was completely destroyed in ruins. Thick smoke billowed everywhere, gravel shook the sky, and the ground was in disarray. Wood-style Maki Senju's power, although unusually terrifying. Advertisement however, the strength of the 3-5 elders is not weak. The sword-wielding old man possesses the terrifying swordsmanship that dominates the world and dominates the world. Of course, taijutsu, as well as conqueror's haki, are also well established in practice. The blonde old man and the long straight-haired old man did not use swords. But they are both men who occupy the top of the world with physical skills. If it's one-on-one, no one can be air's opponent. Even more impossible, against the wood-style true several thousand hands released by air. But The situation is different when the three of them join forces. The three of them have worked together for more than 100 years. Between each other, there is an unreasonable tacit cooperation. The three teamed up to destroy the Senju Buddha's attacking arm. Even the giant arm like a tsunami cannot cause considerable fatal damage to them. Bam, bam, bam. As they threw punch after punch, Senju Buddha's fists were constantly destroyed by them. Over time, with all the strength of the five elders, all that was left of the giant arms of the Senju Buddha was destroyed by them. "Heir, you are going to lose." The old man with the knife laughed. The power of the Senju Buddha statue is truly terrifying. Regardless of the three of them, with extremely tacit cooperation and super strength. Let's destroy the attacking fist together, but they are still seriously injured. It can be seen that each of the three bodies has not simple wounds. Moreover, because of the continuous use of haki and the physical strength to attack with all his strength. This also makes them wear out a lot, but it's all worth it. Because the giant arm of wood-style true several thousand hands released by air was almost completely destroyed by them. When all the great arms are destroyed, then air is in their bag. Boom. With the three of them working together to do their best. Advertisement: the thousands of arms of wood-style true several thousand hands were completely destroyed by three people. What appears in front of everyone now is just a Buddha statue towering high in the sky. But the arm behind it has long been destroyed. Win. The five elders have won, and the abilities air unleashed have been completely destroyed by the five elders. This move should be air's strongest ability. Now that it has been destroyed, air will definitely lose. But then again, this guy air is really scary. It takes five elders to join forces to defeat him. 35. In any case, the final victory must belong to us. Originally, because of the Senju Buddha statue released by air, with terrifying strength, the five elders have been suppressed all the time. This made the powerhouses of countless CP organizations feel deep despair. But along with the arms of the Senju Buddha statue, were all destroyed. The members of countless CP organizations are directly excited to the extreme. Although air is strong, the ultimate winner belongs to them. Looks like the battle is over. The old man in the suit who was watching the battle put his hands on his back and said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Now, he can't wait to make her their experimental subject. After so long, is it finally over? Seeing everything in front of him, Zephyr couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. In the Battle of the Holy Land, Mariejois, air amazed everyone present with his absolute strength. Fortunately, this battle can finally be declared over. Although I didn't defeat the monster air, Zhao Lihao, personally, but, without the two guys air and Edward in this sea, our marine will definitely be able to dominate the new world. Sengoku mouth corners raised slightly. The old man with the knife carried the blade on his shoulders, and said with a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. Although the wood-style true several thousand hands released by air have been completely destroyed by the five elders. But Crane didn't notice a trace of panic and fear on air's face. Air, if we kneel down and beg for mercy now, maybe we won't kill you. Center of the battlefield. As a result, the marine can consider entering the new world. The entire new world ranked the top 2 pirate words. I always feel that it's not that simple. He frowned slightly and said something wrong in his heart. Today will all fall on the holy side of Mariejois, which greatly relieves the pressure on their marines. Chapter 194. The last card, Sage of Six Paths? Do you think the battle is over? Air asked calmly, standing above the Senju Buddha statue. Ha ha ha. It's time for this, so don't put on the air. Air, you are now a plaything in our hands. The blonde old man laughed. Yes. The corners of Air's mouth rose slightly. The next second, the thousands of broken arms behind him began to slowly recover. In less than a moment, the massive giant arms have returned to their original appearance. It looked as if it had never been damaged in the slightest. Just have enough stamina. So no matter how the Senju Buddha statue is damaged, it can be restored to its original state in an instant. Just. What a joke, recovered, it's a lie. The 3 lords of the 5 elders have been working together for so long, and they managed to destroy those arms, and he even restored them to their original state. Damn, this guy's ability is too monstrous, it's simply invincible. Who would have thought that this guy is so old now? Even if the 3-5-old 753-star adults join forces, they can't help him. The members of the CP organization, who had not been happy for a long time, saw wood-style true several thousand hands arms fully recovered. He just froze in place, panicking. They know how terrible the power of wood-style true several thousand hands is. After all, the 3-5 elders joined forces to destroy it. Now that it has recovered again, how can I fight this special? The expression of the old man with the knife became extremely serious in an instant. His eyes stared at Air, who was sitting on top of the Senju Buddha statue, and said solemnly. Recovered. Damn it, Isn't this guy's ability time limited? How did it last for so long? The blonde old man's face sank, and he said grimly. According to their guess, although air can make his strength skyrocket in an instant, there should be a time limit for such extraordinary abilities. Why has it been so long now? The aura emanating from air has not diminished in the slightest. Advertisement. Moreover, the damaged wood-style true several thousand hands can even be restored to its original state. This guy is really a tricky man. The old man with long straight hair has a serious expression. Air has always been defined by their 5 elders as the most dangerous and powerful pirate in the New World today. But they didn't expect that air would be so tricky. The old man with the knife glanced at the old man in a black suit who had been watching the battle. There's no way, we need the 4 of us to join forces. The 3 of them worked together to destroy wood-style true several thousand hands, which consumed a lot of their physical strength. Now air has restored it to its original state and wants to completely destroy it again. It is very possible to push their physical hockey to the limit. Now, they must also rely on the help of another 5 elders. I really didn't expect the 4 of us to join forces to deal with a kid. After all, we are still getting old. 95. The old man in a black suit sighed and came to the side of the 3. They are the 5 elders, at the top of the world. No one in this sea is in the eye, but now, to deal with an air. The 4 of them, the 5 elders, need to join forces. This can't help. Makes him feel dull. As far as hard power is concerned, this guy is completely unattractive in front of me. He is able to have the power he has today, and it's all because of devil fruit. The old man with the knife snorted coldly. In the case of air without any ability, he can press air to play. But when air uses his abilities, even if the 3 of them join forces, it's a bit tricky. Although, added, used devil fruit's ability, but he was able to develop it to such an extent, I have to say, this guy is definitely the most talented I have seen in the past few hundred years. They have controlled the world government for hundreds of years. During this period of time, they have seen the rise of countless powerhouses. Naturally, I have also seen countless devil fruits with special rules being played with tricks. But, like air, he developed his abilities to such a degree. It was their first time seeing each other. Advertisement. As long as we can successfully defeat air, then we will be able to study the secrets in his body. At that time, our world government will cultivate an existence that is not inferior to air. That's right, this sea is always under the rule of our world government. The 4 of us join forces to get rid of him as soon as possible. The blonde old man glanced at the 3 of them and said. The other 3 nodded, preparing to attack air. At this time, air, who was standing on the Senju Buddha statue, looked at the 4-5 elders and raised his brows slightly. Are the 4 of them teaming up? It seems. You have to use your whole cards. The power of wood-style true several thousand hands is extremely terrifying. But 3-5 elders joined forces and it was enough to destroy it. Now that the 4-5 elders have joined forces, there is no doubt that wood-style true several thousand hands is hard to resist. And don't forget, air still used the ability to multiply the experience card to achieve a 1 to 3 and suppress the 5 elders. Now, this experience card is about to expire. Wait until the experience card expires. The combination of the 4-5 elders, there is no doubt that this ability is completely unbeatable. Instead of continuing to use this move that cannot defeat the 4-5 elders, waste more stamina and waste the time of the experience card. It's better to use the power of 10 tails directly and match it with the experience card that has not yet expired. Directly erase the 5 elders under you. After having this idea, air's mind moved, and the wood-style true several thousand hands underneath him disappeared immediately. The 4-5 elders who were about to launch an attack were stunned for a moment when they saw the huge wood-style true several thousand hands like a mountain disappear, and then laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. Air, is it because your ability has reached its expiration date that you can't continue to use it? The horror of air's abilities must be time-limited in their opinion. If there is no time limit, with air's strength, it is enough to dominate the world. How is that possible, still sitting in New World and entrusting work? Why, air, are you trying to surrender? However, even if you surrender, we will not let you go. In today's time, you can only stay in the dark laboratory for us to conduct research. You will be tortured by us for the rest of your life. Chapter 195, the Obito version of Sage of Six Paths. You guys, get ready. You will all die at my hands. Air approached the 4-5 elders step by step and said lightly. Death at your hands? You're really saying something ridiculous. Air, trying to scare us, you're too young. Why, do you want to tell us that the ability you just released is not your strongest move, and you have other cards that you haven't used yet? 39. Ha ha ha. If you really have it, let us see it. Look, Air. A few of them were completely unconvinced that Air had other cards that he didn't use. After all, the power of the wood-style true several thousand hands released just now was completely beyond their imagination. In other words, in their opinion, The ability just now was the most terrifying ability in this world. They are dead, and it is impossible to believe. Air also has the ability to surpass wood-style senju. You guessed it right, I really have it. The corners of Air's mouth rose slightly. 10 tails. Air let out a light slap, and then woke up the 10 tails that he had sealed in his body. 10 tails are the strongest, fiercest and most vicious-tailed beasts in the Hokage ninja world. Its strength is enough to destroy the world. It took Air a long time to unlock 10 tails just 2 days ago. This was the first time Air used 10 tails abilities. Dropped with Air's voice, 10 tails slowly woke up within its body. Then, all the power in the body was poured into Air's body and fused with it. The momentum on Air's body was extremely violent, and the whole body exuded the shocking atmosphere of ultimate terror. Boom! The sky is dense with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, and one after another thunder and lightning break through the clouds, tear the air apart, and shake the space. At this time, Air, like the sage of 6 paths, had the aura of dominance, shocking the powerhouses of the entire Holy Land Mariejois. I saw Air glowing purple, with 5 scales on his back, and 6 tomo engraved in front of him. However, the truth-seeking ball did not appear on his back. Advertisement. Neither was he wearing anything similar to Sage of 6 Paths, nor was there a 6 Paths tin stick in his hand. At this time, his image is somewhat similar to Obito in the Hokage ninja world. Because the two also do not have the power of full Master 10 Tails. The power of 10 Tails is too violent and terrifying. Unless Air's immortal eye reaches full level, he will not be able to fully utilize the power of Master 10 Tails. But the current Air can be called 10 Tails Jinchuriki. After all, the power of 10 Tails had been poured into his body and merged with it. Just not all. What a terrifying aura. What the hell is going on with this guy? Look, his body is actually glowing with purple light, and there seems to be something more on his shoulders and back. It's a lie. Is this his ability again? The Buddha statue he released just now is already amazing enough. How do I feel that he is now countless times stronger than before? F*K. This guy is not human at all. 39. Seeing Air become 10 Tails Jinchuriki, a member of countless CP organizations, was extremely frightening. Even, there are many weak CP organization members. Directly frightened by Air's current aura, he fainted. The invisible aura emanating from Air, deeply imprinted in the soul of every strong man. This sense of oppression of ultimate makes their souls tremble. On the other side, Whitebeard, who was fighting with the scarred old man, glanced at Air and laughed. Old la la la. Is it a new ability, Air? It's amazing. Seeing Air entering the 10 Tails Jinchuriki state, the scarred old man could not help frowning. Damn, this guy Air is really tricky. I thought that if the other 5 elders joined forces, Air could be easily eliminated. But I didn't expect that it would be delayed by Air for so long and still not resolved. Even, Air has now unleashed such terrifying abilities. It seems that the two of us have a chance to leave alive today. Whitebeard laughed while fighting Air. Leave, don't be delusional, Edward, the old man with scar said coldly. Advertisement. The words fell, and the scarred old man once again launched a more rapid offensive towards Whitebeard. 0. Ask for flowers. The other side. How is it possible? Does this guy Air still have this ability? Sengoku's forehead was startled with dense beads of sweat, and he looked terrified. Air's current state is many times more terrifying than it was during the Battle of Hive Island. This sense of oppression that was close to Tianlingai made Sengoku feel fearful. What the hell is going on with this guy's body? Why did he suddenly become so much stronger? Isn't the huge Buddha statue just now his strongest ability? Is this form his strongest move? Zephyr gasped. With a breath of cold air, his tone trembled slightly. Even if they are far apart, even if they are not fighting Air now. But Zephyr still felt the fear of ultimate in Air's state. I didn't expect that back then. Air, who was only the official crew member of the Rox Regiment, after the disbandment of the Rox Regiment, his abilities have been developed to such a level, Crane couldn't help but be shocked. Damn it, it would be great if he could take Air in the Valley of the Gods back then. I didn't expect it. He has developed this ability in such a short period of time. Garp clenched his fists, a little reluctant. At this time, he couldn't help but recall the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Air at that time, because of a war with Kong. Extremely weak. If they worked harder at that time, they would have a chance to get rid of Air. But, unfortunately, Air managed to survive in the end. Today, it still grows to such an astonishing level. Even Garp had a hunch, Air in this state. They also laughed at Air at the time, who was already a turtle in the urn and could not have any other cards. But, what they never expected was that Air's backhand entered a stronger state, Beg. They thought that Air would take back the Senju Buddha statue that he had released just now. It is because the ability has reached the limit and can no longer be used. The 4-5 elders, watching Air entering the 10 Tails Jinchuriki state, froze in place. Center of the battlefield. Even if the 4-5 elders join forces, they may not win. What are you kidding? This guy actually has a whole card. Chapter 196 The Power of Six Paths, Sage Art. Damn, this guy's strength is definitely not simple in this state, the blonde old man said solemnly. Even if the battle has not yet started, he was still on air in front of him. I felt the momentum that was many times more terrifying than the Senju Buddha statue. Strength is not simple. So what, when the four of us join forces, is there any man in this world that we cannot defeat? The old man in a suit snorted coldly. Hearing his words, the long straight-haired old man nodded. That's right, no matter how strong this guy Air is, he's definitely not an opponent for the four of us. Any one of the four of them possesses the terrifying combat power that is unmatched in the world. When the four of them join forces at the same time, they don't believe they will lose. After accepting the power of 10 tails, Air slowly opened his eyes with 753. At this time, he only felt that he had the power to destroy the world in his body. Everything in front of him, whether it was Garp or the 5 elders, he could only feel the breath of ants on a few people. Him at this time, he didn't take anyone present in his eyes, everyone in front of him was as small as a grain of sand. As this? The power of 10 tails? Air clenched his fists, and the corners of his mouth couldn't stop rising. After becoming 10 tails Jinchuriki, Air possesses a very powerful and terrifying power. And, don't forget, the Air ability has been multiplied several times and the experience card has not yet expired. In other words, Air has increased the strength of 10 tails Jinchuriki several times. Air raised his head slightly, set his eyes on the 4-5 elders in front of him, and said contemptuously. Come on together, you guys. Now Air, with absolute confidence, can defeat the team of 4-5 elders at the same time. Of course, he had to make a quick decision. After all, he has not yet fully mastered the power of Master 10 Tails. If it is used for a long time, then he will be attacked by the power of 10 tails. With the four of us together, I hope you don't die too soon, Air. It's your honor to die with the four of us together, Air. Come on together and get rid of him, advertisement. The words fell, and the four people's footsteps violently appeared in the four directions of Air in an instant. Facing Air 10 Tails Jinchuriki status, the four of them did not retain their strength at all, and used all their strength to launch an attack on Air. Boom! There was a loud bang in the center of the Holy Land Mariejois, followed by a cloud of smoke. I saw the joint attack of the 4-5 elders, creating a huge deep hole directly in the center. Missing? Looking at the empty huge pit, the pupils of the 4-5 elders shrank. Too slow. Suddenly a voice came from behind them, and the four of them were nervous and turned around quickly. I saw Air at this time, floating in the air. Enter Air in 10 Tails Jinchuriki state. Not only has a very strong attack power, but the speed is also fast to the outrageous map. At the same time, in this state, he can still float. Sage Art, Lightning Style Yin School. Air stood in midair with a light snort. I saw his palms together, and then from his palms, purple lightning-like branches appeared. Purple lightning burst out of the air, and there was a burst of roaring sounds in the air. The air seemed to be pierced by purple lightning and burst. The purple lightning exudes an extremely terrifying power, which distorts the surrounding space. This lightning seems to destroy everything in the world, and everything is fragile in front of it. Although Air does not have the power of the Master Hokage Ninja World, lightning style. But with him becoming 10 Tails Jinchuriki, most of the 6 Paths magic can be used. Of course. Not all. After all, right now, he couldn't fully manipulate 10 Tails and unleash the full power of 10 Tails. Boom. 35 With a loud noise in the air, purple lightning swiftly struck the 4-5 elders. Get out of the way. The face of the old man with the knife changed greatly, and he hurriedly shouted. Hearing his words, the 4-5 elders used all their strength to avoid this lightning bolt. Advertisement but the speed of this lightning is really too fast. 0. Only 3 people avoided, and the long straight-haired old man who was a little slower was directly hit by purple lightning. Terrifying energy, like a tsunami, surged into the body of the long straight-haired old man. He hurriedly covered his entire body with a layer of top armament Haki. I want to use the power of Haki to resist the attack of lightning. But, nevertheless, purple lightning has a very strong penetrating power. Let him wrap around Haki all over, but the lightning directly broke through the defense. It caused irreversible and serious damage to his internal organs and limbs. The long straight-haired old man endured the severe pain that life was worse than death and did not cry out. But the intense pain almost made him lose consciousness. Boom. Having suffered a blow from the Sage Art Yin Escape Thundersect, the long straight-haired old man directly half knelt on the ground, his consciousness blurred. This is not over yet. After one blow hit the long straight-haired old man. Air directly set his eyes on the old man with the knife. Universal pull. Air stretched out his arm, and the terrifying attraction directly enveloped the old man with the knife. Before Air was in Ten Tails' Jinchuriki state, the ability of universal pull is enough to forcefully manipulate and move the body of the five elders. Now, after entering the Ten Tails' Jinchuriki state, his gravitational terror is at its peak. Before the old man with the knife could react, his body was directly drawn to him by Air. 4.3. Air's fist charged, wrapped around armament hockey, and the endless Ten Tails power within him. With all his strength, he slammed into the old man with the knife. The extremely terrifying fist, with the power to break the mountains and destroy the stars, smashed at the old man with the knife. Oops! The pupil of the old man with the knife shrank violently, and he quickly put the blade in front of him, trying to defend against Air's attack. Boom! With Air's punch, the air vibrated violently, and the fist landed behind the five elders. I saw that his body was like a meteor, flying directly out of a distance of hundreds of meters. Then it slammed into a building heavily, setting off a sky full of smoke and dust. The entire Holy Land Mariejois shook a little more violently. Chapter 197 Dumbfounded Akainu, Kazaru, Iokiji. How is it possible? It's a lie. How is this possible? This guy actually injured two five elders in an instant. The purple thunderbolt released by that guy is even more powerful than Thunderfruit, one of the legendary strongest Logia devil fruits. 35. How strong is this guy? When the 4-5 elders join forces, he is no match for him at all. I understand now why he invaded the Holy Land Mariejois. He was going to kill us all. Shit. Damn, are we going to escape? We will also be killed by this monster. Looking at the scene in front of them, there is no need to say more about the shock and fear of the members of the CP organization. In their eyes, the five elders are the strongest, occupying the top of the world, and no one can compete with them. Today, 4-5 elders, who occupy the absolute top of the world, team up to take on Air. Not only was there no trauma to Air, but even two people were directly injured by Air in an instant. This shocking power can completely slaughter their entire Holy Land Mariejois. If before, they believe that even if all the big pirates in the entire New World join forces, attacking the O3 Holy Land Mariejois together, it is completely impossible to slaughter the entire Holy Land Mariejois. But, now with only Air alone, they even gave birth in their hearts. Air today is enough to slaughter everyone in the entire Holy Land Mariejois. Not because of other reasons, but because Air's combat power is too terrifying. Just a face-to-face, the monster Air directly took out two five elders? Zephyr was so frightened that he stood upside down, and cold sweat broke out from his forehead and back. He knew that Air's strength would be terrifying in this state. It will surpass the wood-style true several thousand hands just released. But he never imagined that the situation of the battle would turn out to be such a situation. Air actually killed two five elders. If this kind of thing is said, it is impossible for anyone to believe it. Air, is he invincible? Sengoku couldn't help but gasped. Air's performance today has shocked Sengoku countless times. But, no matter how powerful Air is, he still felt that Air must die in this place today. But as Air entered the Ten Tails Jinchuriki state, he directly hit the two five elders in an instant. In his heart, there was also the illusion that Air was invincible. Garp, Crane, stood in midair, emitting a purple aura. Advertisement Air, who was like a fairy, was completely shocked and speechless. No, we can't keep watching, Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane. Garp took off the cloak of justice behind him, shrugged his tie, and looked serious. Garp wanted to intervene in the battle from the very beginning of Air's appearance in the Holy Land. Team up with the five elders against Air. But, the arrogant five elders didn't want to use their power at all. They just want to rely on their own strength to get rid of this man Air. And Garp and others, it is not easy to resist the orders of the five elders. So, until now, have been watching this fight from the sidelines. However, now Garp doesn't want to watch anymore. Because Air's strength is too terrifying, he faces 4-5 elders at the same time. Not only did not fall into the disadvantage, but at the beginning of the battle, they directly hit the 2-5 elders. If they continue to watch, maybe, the 5 elders will be defeated. That said, even if we participated in this battle and disobeyed the orders of the 5 elders, as long as we can get rid of the monster Air, everything is worth it. Sengoku also took off the justice cloak behind him. Now that there are 4-5 elders, it may not be possible to beat a man like Air. But what if you add them? You must know that their current strength is also extremely terrifying. After all, they've been at the Holy Land Mariejois since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Received diabolical training personally taught by the 5 elders. Their current strength is far from what it used to be. Even if it may not be on a par with the 5 elders, it's definitely not weak. Today, no matter the cost, this fellow Air must be wiped out in the Holy Land Mariejois. Zephyr was also ready to fight at this time and said solemnly. At this time, air gave Zephyr a sense of pressure and threat. It has even far surpassed the once overlord Rox. Such a man would not have died in the Holy Land Mariejois today. Then in the future, this sea, without a doubt, will be dominated by air. Rox can't fulfill his dream of world domination. But Zephyr is certain. If air can leave the Holy Land Mariejois alive today, there is a high probability that he will become the overlord of this world in the future. Then let's go together, he also nodded in agreement. Although Suru is a woman, he joined Marine at the same time as Garp, Sengoku, and Zephyr. Advertisement and also known as Naval Headquarters 4 stars. Although it is said that her current strength is somewhat different from that of Garp and others. But that's not too much of a difference. The 4 looked at each other and all were ready to fight. In other words, they are all ready to fall, because they know very well, even if the 4 of them join forces with the 5 elders. In this battle, there will still be people who will fall. It could be the 5 elders, it could be them. But the 4 of them are fearless, in their opinion, as long as they can get rid of the monster air. Even if you die, it's worth it. Take, tread, tread. At this moment, there was a sound of footsteps behind everyone. I saw Kong, Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru, who were rushing towards the battlefield of 753. But after arriving at the scene, they were also a little dumbfounded. The entire Holy Land, Mariejois, was almost completely destroyed by air's battle with the 5 elders. Looking around, there is no complete ground around. Not a single building is intact, all ruins, all rubble residues. When Garp heard the footsteps behind him, he turned around and noticed Kong and the others, and asked suspiciously. You? How come? I heard that Air and Edward had invaded the Holy Land Mariejois, so I came to support, Kong explained aloud. Due to naval headquarters, it is very close to the Red Line. So, Kong took the 3 of Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru. Arrive at the Holy Land Mariejois as fast as possible. The combat power of this group of people is extremely poor now, and it is almost impossible to bring them a little help here. Kizaru glanced at Sengoku and explained, his presence can help them. It doesn't matter if Kong comes, after all, Kong is the marshal of naval headquarters. Sakazuki, Pulsalino, Kuzan, why are you all here too? It has a terrifying combat power that is not weaker than them. Sengoku also looked back at them and asked in surprise. After all, staying at naval headquarters is a bit boring, so I want to see the big pirates in New World, so I came here to watch. But the problem is, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, are just a marine colonel now. Chapter 198 Everyone join forces to deal with air? P.S. Due to the author's negligence, when I finished chapter 197, I revised and added a lot of content. However, the modified 197 was not used to upload, causing the content behind 197 to be repeated with 198. Readers who have read the 197 chapters are great, you can look back, and the revised chapters have been uploaded. But then again, are we late? After so long, the 2 big pirates in New World have already been dealt with by you, Akainu said. Holy Land Mariejois, but there are 5 elders, plus Garp and others are present. Moreover, it took them so long to arrive, staring at the damaged ground around them. Akainu's first thought was that Air and Whitebeard had been dealt with. Has it been solved? It's a pity, I thought I could see the big pirates of the New World. Aokiji scratched his head. Because the battle between Air and the 5 elders is in the center of the Holy Land Mariejois. The distance between Garp and others watching the battle is hundreds of meters away. So, Kong, Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji rushed to the battlefield. I only saw the mess everywhere, and I didn't notice Air and the 5 elders who were hundreds of meters away. Garp looked at the 4 with a heavy expression on his face and shook his head slightly. No, it hasn't been resolved yet. Oh, it's been such a long time, hasn't it been resolved yet? After Kong heard the news, he was slightly startled. Then he set his sights on the central location of the Holy Land Mariejois. I don't know, I just took a look, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Because he saw hundreds of meters away. A man who exudes the breath of the ultimate monster is standing in the air. He frowned, wiped the sweat from his brow and asked Garp. The man standing in the air. Who is it? Not to mention, the distance was so far away that he couldn't fully see the appearance of Air standing in midair. Plus Air at this time. It was covered in purple air, with 5 scales on its back and 4 sharp cones on its shoulders. No one, at first glance, can directly recognize who the person in the air is. Garp said in a very heavy tone, Air. Air. Hearing this answer, Kong was stunned. Advertisement. Then he turned his attention to Air who was standing in the air again. Kong was at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, but fought against Air. At that time, Air, although extremely powerful, did not surpass him too much. But now, in Air's state, He hasn't even played against him yet. His heart gave birth to the illusion that the other party is invincible. How long has it been since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods ended? Has Air's combat power reached such an amazing level? Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji heard that the person standing in the air was Air. They all turned their eyes to Air. Is this the new world's most powerful pirate, Air? Akainu asked in a daze. Akainu originally had a desperate desire to go to the new world to catch pirates. But, seeing Air's look, his determination was shattered directly. Because Air, standing in midair, doesn't give him the feeling that he is an outrageous pirate, but an invincible immortal with the power to dominate the entire world. Are the pirates in the new world all such a group of monsters? Aokiji said with a trembling voice. He was still delusional, waiting for when to go to new world to catch some big pirates or something. But when I saw Air at first glance, I gave up the idea of going to new world. Because he feels his soul is shaking. Not to mention arresting a man like Air, he didn't even dare to stand in front of him and become an opponent with him. After all, they are still too young, and now just colonels. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 5 elders who are fighting Air right now, and 4-5 elders together. Kong's eyes stared at the battlefield, a little scared. Although he has never played against the 5 elders. But as Martial Marine, he still knew the strength of the 5 elders very well. The strength of the 5 elders, in his opinion, is not inferior to a man like Rox. And the strength of the 4-5 elders teaming up, not to mention. Now, Air can play 4-5 elders at the same time and still not lose. Kong once wondered if there was something wrong with his eyes, and he was wrong. Otherwise, it's just that some time has passed. Advertisement. How can Air be so powerful? Yes, Garp nodded. What? Are Air's opponents the 4-5 elders? Kizaru was slightly taken aback. Isn't the 5 elders the supreme leader of the world government? Is this guy Air worthy of having such a powerful person join forces to deal with him personally? Aokiji said with a solemn expression on his chin. The 2 of them, since the position is only colonel. Never seen 5 elders before, but, as they are 4 stars from Naval Headquarters. It is deeply valued by the senior management of Naval Headquarters and the senior management of world government. Therefore, they also heard about the existence of the 5 elders from the mouths of the Marine executives. The 5 elders are under 1 person and over 10,000 people, enough to dominate the entire sea and hold the power of professional high school. And a man like Air is worthy of a presence like the 5 elders. And the 4 team up. So the existence of Air is the reason why you didn't let us go to New World, Marshal Kong, Akainu said with a heavy expression. Akainu thought, Kong didn't let them go to New World. It is precisely because of New World that there are such terrifying monsters as Air. The reason why I don't let you go to New World is because there are too many monsters in New World, but what I didn't expect is that this guy Air is completely above the monsters. Zhao Lihao. Kong didn't let Akainu and others go to New World because there were too many pirates in New World. It's too dangerous. If the number of big pirates in New World decreases, he will agree to let Akainu and others go to New World. And their naval headquarters will also move some of their forces to the New World. But now, he has changed that view, because as long as there is Air in New World, they Marine can't step into New World at all. Air fought 4 of the 5 elders and didn't lose. Kong is sure, even the Rox can't achieve such an achievement at all. Zephyr looked at Kong and said seriously, since you are here, let's go to Kong. We need to help the 5 elders and deal with this guy Air together. The 4 of them had already planned to go to the battlefield and deal with Air together. Since Kong is here now, they will join forces with the 5 to deal with Air. Chapter 199 10 Tails is the strongest tailed beast bomb. I see. Kong nodded. He can also see it, the center of the battlefield. Even the 4-5 elders teamed up to take on Air, and it was extremely difficult. Therefore, he did not refuse to join forces with Zephyr and others to deal with Air together. After all, to deal with monsters like Air, there is no need to say anything to bully the less. After the words fell, Kong set his eyes on Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji and said solemnly. Don't forget the purpose of you guys coming here today, just to watch the battle, don't go near the battlefield. In the future, Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji will be able to become the highest combat power of Naval Headquarters, Marine Admiral. But now the 3 of them have not grown up at all, they are just a colonel at best. If the 3 of them approach the central battlefield of the Holy Land Mariejois out of curiosity, there is no doubt that the 3 will be instantly killed by Air. After all, even 5 elders Air can do a one-hit hit. Killing 3 colonels in 1 second was completely effortless. I see, Marshal Kong. Akainu nodded. Well, the battlefield will be handed over to you, we are just here to see. Huang 753 said. Allah, this guy Air is so dangerous, how can we get close to the battlefield? 35 Aokiji said. The 3 of them, though do have a great curiosity about Air. But they are not fools. Anyone can see it. The current heir is already a complete existence that is above monsters. If they approached, wouldn't they be tragically killed on the spot? Hearing the three people's answers, Kong put his eyes on Garp again. Superior. The words fall. The five of them stepped on their feet and approached the battlefield with the fastest speed. They wanted to join forces with the five elders to deal with Air. Center of the battlefield. After Air became 10 Tails Jinchuriki. Fighting against 4-5 elders alone, you won't be left behind at all. It's really tenacious, hasn't it fallen? Air towered above the sky and glanced contemptuously at the 4-5 elders below him. Advertisement. I have to say that the 5 elders can stand in their current position, their strength is really not weak. Although, as soon as the battle began, Air directly hit the 2-5 elders. Added, however, the physique of those 2-5 elders was terrifying. It didn't fall down because of it, but it didn't seem to be affected. Team up with 2 other 5 elders and keep attacking him. Just relying on such a move, you want to make us fall. You are too underestimating us, Air. The old man with the knife wiped the blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth, and said with a grim expression. We don't allow you to continue living in this sea with an existence like you. Today. Just die in this holy place, Mariejois, Air. The blonde old man shouted. Really? If you can do it, just give it a try, Air said calmly. Superior. One of the 5 elders shouted, and the figures of the other 3-5 elders suddenly burst into flames. The 4 appeared in the 4 directions of Air at the same time, and with tacit cooperation, they wanted to directly hit Air. We need to end the battle soon. Air glanced at the 4 of them and said inwardly. Although, the power of 10 tails is extremely terrifying. But within a few moments of the fight, Air felt a splitting headache. This is precisely because of the power of 10 tails, which is constantly attacking Air's consciousness. In fact, Air is not qualified to use the power of 10 tails right now. Because his fairy eyes are only in the mid-term, they can't completely control the power of 10 tails. Now, it can be said that he is forcibly using the power of 10 tails to fight. Although the power of 10 tails gave him extremely strong, even enough power to destroy the world. But the pain of backlash still made Air's life worse than death. If it weren't for Air's strong willpower at this time, he would be lying on the ground and rolling on the ground now. Except for the power of 10 tails, Air is now a little out of control. The experience card, which has increased strength several times, is also about to expire. Once the strength increases several times, the experience card expires. Even if Air is now 10 tails Jinchuriki, he will not be a match for the 4-5 elders. Because no matter what, Air now controls only part of the 10 tails, not all of it. Considering the backlash of 10 tails and the expiration of the experience card that has increased its strength several times, Air must quickly take down the 5 elders and escape the Holy Land Mariejois. Tailed Beast Bomb. Air snorted softly. Advertisement. Then, in front of him, a mushroom-like plant appeared, which was part of the divine tree. I saw 4 scarlet energy balls slowly appearing in 4 directions on the surface of the divine tree. This is exactly the Tailed Beast Bomb from 10 Tails. 10 Tails, as the strongest tailed beast in the Hokage ninja world, the power of his Tailed Beast Bomb is terrifying, needless to say. Compared with the ordinary Tailed Beast Bomb, it is not an order of magnitude at all. I saw that the 4 scarlet energy balls on the surface of the divine tree were constantly gathering and expanding. Exudes a terrifying aura that shakes the entire Holy Land Mariejois. Even the surrounding space is slightly distorted. It is conceivable that such a tailed beast bomb, if launched, would strike the Holy Land Mariejois. What a serious injury to the 5 elders. Quick, get rid of that thing first, the old man with the knife shouted and reminded. On the scarlet sphere gathered by the divine tree, the old man with the knife felt the threat of death. Leave Air alone, get rid of that plant first, the blonde old man shouted at the same time. The 4-5 elders, switching offense at the same time, took aim away from Air. Transferred to the tailed beast bomb that is about to release the world, the god tree. How can I let you guys interrupt the tailed beast bomb's charge? Air sneered. Amanuma spear. Air let out a soft snort, and then an extremely long spreading divine sword of creation appeared from his palm. This sword, the spear used by Sage of 6 Paths to create the first continent, possesses extremely terrifying destructive power. Air poured his powerful consciousness into the Skymarsh spear. Then he directly blocked in front of the 4-5 elders. No matter how the 4-5 elders attacked, it was impossible to repel Air. Damn, retreat quickly, the old man with the knife shouted. Because of Air's obstruction, they were completely unable to approach the divine tree and destroyed the tailed beast bomb that was about to converge. Now they must retreat as quickly as possible, because they know very well that if they are hit by the tailed beast bomb, they are likely to die on the spot. Hear the voice of the old man with the knife. The other old men did not hesitate at all, and immediately stopped their confrontation with Air, wanting to retreat. You can't escape. 39 The corners of Air's mouth rose slightly. Chapter 200 The 3-5 elders died after Air's obstruction. The divine tree created by him has completed the charging of Tailed Beast Bomb. A terrifying Tailed Beast Bomb was launched from the 4 directions of the sacred tree, respectively, attacking the 4-5 elders. The speed of 5 elders is really unsatisfactory, and it can even be said that it is approaching ultimate. But the launch of Tailed Beast Bomb was even faster, almost instantly catching up with the 5 elders. Boom. The finished product, boom, boom, 55-66 feet boom, 35. In the entire Holy Land Mariejois, there were 4 loud noises in an instant, and the momentum was shocking. The dense dark clouds circling high in the sky were directly twisted, forming a vortex shape. The entire Holy Land Mariejois, or rather, the entire red line was a shudder. It was as if an unprecedented earthquake had occurred. 4 tailed beast bombs are fired along with the god tree. The whole Holy Land Mariejois, more than 70% of the area was completely destroyed by this battle. The 5 elders, who were bombarded by tailed beast bomb, slammed into the rubble. The smoke and dust in the sky were set off, as well as a huge deep pit, and the life and death are unknown. The smoke that covered the sky slowly dissipated. I saw that among the 4 giant pits, only the old man with the knife stood up, covered in blood. Among the other 3 giant pits, the breath of the 3-5 elders has dissipated, and they are completely dead. 4 hits 1 and 3 kills. Is this the strength of your 5 elders? It's really vulnerable. Air stood above the sky, with a sneer on his lips, looking at the old man with a knife who had not yet been killed by him. UB*****************. D. The old man with the knife stood up with difficulty, coughing up blood, and his eyes contained endless killing intent. He never imagined that the tailed beast bomb that Air had just released would be so powerful. Actually, he directly killed 3 of his old friends. This battle is Air's victory. 1 person fought 4-5 elders alone, beheaded 3. This scene directly shocked everyone in the entire Holy Land Mariejois. Advertisement, 5. Lord 5 elders is dead. Dead, has no breath. What a joke. How can this guy Air's ability be so terrible? He directly killed the 3-5 elders. 5. This is a lie. The 4 lords of the 5 elders joined forces, and now Air has killed 3 of them. 39. Even Lord 5 elders is no match for Air. In this holy land of Mariejois today, who can help Air? Our world government, shouldn't it be, going to perish today? Countless CP organizations watched the 3-5 elders who fell into the pit and completely lost their vitality. His eyes were full of despair. The 5 elders, who they thought were the strongest beings in the Holy Land Mariejois, were killed by Air today. In this way, wouldn't their world government mean that they are going to perish? When they first arrived on the battlefield, noticed Air fighting the 5 elders. Whoever it was, felt that Air was doomed to die in this place today. But as the battle continued, Air showed extremely terrifying combat power. They felt something was wrong, until the death of the 3-5 elders. At this moment, their hearts were completely covered by despair and fear. Thinking of their world government, they stood up on this sea and ruled this sea for 800 years. For the past 800 years, their world government has manipulated everything and controlled the sea. What a sight, but today everything is broken, the other side. Gu la la la. Have you killed the 3-5 elders, Air? You are so powerful? Looking at the battlefield in the distance, even Whitebeard was taken aback. He knew that in today's battle, Air would definitely surprise him, but he didn't expect it at all. The surprise that Air will bring him will be like this: 1 person fights 4-5 elders, kills 3. Damn Air. The scarred old man, who was fighting with Whitebeard, looked at the scene in the distance. His face was extremely ferocious and angry. The 3 dead 5 elders, but his companions who have been with him for hundreds of years. Now, he can only watch the 3 old friends die, and there is nothing he can do. Now, do you still think you can take us down? Whitebeard said with a sneer. He's definitely no match for the old Scar, but don't forget, Whitebeard is a veritable monster. His physique is extremely powerful, with the destructive shock fruit. Advertisement let the Scar old man be stronger than him and cause him extremely serious injuries. But the current Whitebeard is still not down. Go away, you be ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* he wants to quickly take down Whitebeard's tough foe. Then he rushed to the central battlefield of the Holy Land Mariejois and killed Air with his own hands. Avenge some of his old friends who died. I won't let you go anywhere else, Whitebeard snorted. The two then broke out into a fight again, on the other side, in the center of the battlefield. Air. A loud roar attracted the attention of the entire Holy Land Mariejois powerhouse. I saw that the Garp, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane 5 people had come to Air at this time. Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane, Kong. Air frowned slightly and glanced at them. Although he successfully used his abilities, he beheaded 3 5 elders. But his physical strength has almost bottomed out. In addition, the strength increase experience card is about to expire. Including, has been using the power of 10 tails for a while. The current 10 tails devoured his will all the time. If it is delayed for a while, there is a great possibility that he will fall in this place. It's time to find a chance to leave, thought to himself. Although he also wanted to use the power of the current master to slaughter all the strong men in the Holy Land Mariejois. Most likely. Killed by too. Recommend a friend's book. The Beginning of You Demons. I lead the crew to overturn the top. Beg. Now they are all dead at hands, if they act rashly. After all, he has reached his limit too. With the highest power in the world, and the 5 elders with great fighting power. Damn, have the 3 5 elders been killed by Sengoku looked at the 5 elders who had lost their breath in the pit in disbelief, and said solemnly. But he also knew very well that he couldn't do such a thing now. Don't act rashly, this guy's current strength is beyond terrifying. Cold sweat broke out on Kong's forehead, and he reminded the 4 around him. Chapter 201 The Appearance of Occupy Reversal? Damn it, we should have gone to war when arrived at the Holy Land Mariejois. Zephyr clenched his fists, remorseful. If the battle between and the 5 elders is just beginning. The 4 of them joined forces, and if they cooperated with the 4 5 elders, would have the strength he has now. They also have a good chance of winning, but now, the 4 5 elders have teamed up and 3 killed by Only 1 knife-wielding old man survived. Now, even if they work together to deal with the odds of winning are not great. Today, must be killed in this holy place, Mariejois, no matter how painful the price is, he said with firm eyes and fearless death. Combat power has been deeply remembered by them. Crane could imagine if left the Holy Land Mariejois alive today. 753, will cause huge damage to this sea in the future. That's right, in the face of a man like we should abandon the fear of death, and we must get rid of him. Garp clenched his fists, and the veins on his forehead burst out. Go together. Kong also made up his mind. As his voice fell, the 5 quickly entered a state of battle, preparing to attack At this moment, a female voice came from the air. Stop it. Hearing this voice, everyone in the entire battlefield was attracted. Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp, Crane, Scar Old Man, Knife Old Man, Whitebeard, Akainu, Kazaru, Aokiji and others. All looked towards the location of the source of the sound. I saw a man wearing a black robe, whose face could not be seen clearly, appeared in the air. Lord The old man with the knife was stunned for a moment, and then, regardless of his own injury, he directly kneeled on the ground and said respectfully. She. Who is she, to be so respected by Lord 5 elders? I don't know, does our world government still have such a number 1 person? Lord 5 elders, isn't he the supreme ruler of our world government? This Imam who appeared. What's going on? No, although I don't know what's going on with this but she's definitely not an easy character to be so respected by the 5 elders. Watching Yim appear, and seeing the 5 elders get down on one knee. Even many high-level officials of the world government were stunned. Because of Im's presence, even they don't know. After all, the 5 elders are the top leaders of the world government they know well. Advertisement as for they had never heard of it at all. Kong and the others, who were about to attack were also taken aback. Even the high-level officials of the world government have never heard of Im's name, so they naturally don't know. Sengoku frowned, stared at in the sky, and said solemnly. Although I don't know who she is, what is certain is that her strength should be extremely terrifying. The strength of the 5 elders, they are particularly aware of. But it is such a terrifying powerhouse. Seeing Yimu's appearance, he actually knelt down on one knee and called out the honorific title of the Lord. Sengoku can be sure that is a powerful and boundless monster. If she's on our side, why did you stop us just now? Garp wondered. If was their companion, he should have joined forces with the 5 of them just now to deal with Why did the 5 of them stop the battle when they were about to attack? Don't worry Garp, must be from our side, since she said that, she must have her thoughts, so let's just wait and see. Anyway, today, no matter what, we're going to let die here. Kong also doesn't know why stopped the fight, but what is certain is that the person who can make the 5 elders so respectful must be a companion on their side. Noticed it too, and who stood in the air like him. The 5 elders are the top leaders of the world government. But in fact, above the 5 elders, there is a real behind-the-scenes booze, and that is was the founder of the dynasty 800 years ago. Since the establishment of world government, up to now, almost never appeared in the public eye. Only the 5 elders are qualified to meet and only they know of Im's strength, air doesn't know. However, as the founder of the dynasty 800 years ago, it has survived 800 years to the present. Her strength, without a doubt, must be terrifying to the extreme. Your name, for air, right? 35 Im carrying his hands on his back, stepped into the air, and came to a position more than 10 meters away from air. So what? Air said nonchalantly. You used a special power, right? I can see that you are already a little out of control, 35 Yimu said calmly. So what? Even if I die, I won't be cheap for you, Air said calmly. Advertisement. Although it is not clear what the specific strength of Im is. But Air is particularly confident in his own strength. After all, he had fought against 4-5 elders alone, and he had lost the slightest advantage. Even killed 3 of them. No matter how strong Im is, how strong can he be? You can't beat yourself in one move, can you? If so strong. Then there is no way for him, he will die. Definitely can't get them cheap. Yes. Im's words fell, and he charged directly towards Air. She deserves to be the big boss behind the world government, and she belongs to the kind of person who doesn't talk much. Before I even said a few words, I attacked Air directly. And her speed is as fast as tearing space. I can only fight, Air thought to himself. The words fall. Air clenched his fists tightly wrapped with the power of armament color and conqueror's hockey, and blasted directly at Im 4.3. Now his experience card is about to expire. Physique is also near bottom. 10 Tails is also constantly fighting back against his will. He didn't have much time to drag on. Must be done in a very short time. To deal with Im. Boom. The fists of the two have not yet collided with each other, with a terrifying momentum. And the boundless ripples directly oscillated to the entire red line. The high-altitude weather changed drastically. First, the dark clouds gathered and an endless vortex rose up. Boom. In the next second, high-altitude thunder and lightning flashed, and endless thunder fell to the 4 sides of the two. The two confrontation, the boundless momentum generated. It even condensed a violent tornado that swept in all directions and destroyed everything. The offensive of the two men collided for half a minute, and then the figures of the two men retreated. Chapter 202 Im. You can leave now. This punch between the two is invincible. Good. So strong. Lord Im's strength is not inferior to Air. Even the 4 lords of the 5 elders are no match for Air, and Lord Yimu is not weak against Air alone. Ha ha ha. I knew. How could our world government perish today? Seeing that the two clashed with one blow, it was no match. The members of the CP organization who watched the game from a distance were directly excited. After all, Air's previous performance was too exaggerated. Let them feel the deep despair, and now the appearance of Im, let them see hope again. Although they are currently, it is not clear what Imam's specific identity is. However, in the face of such a character, they all shouted an adult. This guy, as expected, can make the 5 elders shout out the existence of adults, his strength. It's really terrifying, Zephyr said in shock. The strength is not inferior to the current Air. Is Im the real controller of the world government? Sengoku couldn't help but speculate. 5 elders can achieve the position of the top 03 in the world government, just by relying on its own top strength. Now, Im's appearance has directly refreshed their recognition. It can be on par with Air. According to the strength of the film, Im should be the real controller of the world government. Seeing this scene, Kong clenched his fists and said excitedly, it seems that today we will definitely be able to take down the monster Air. Seeing the deaths of the 3-5 elders made him a little desperate. Now that Im appears, let him see the hope of killing Air again. Although the losses in this battle are huge, but in the end, Air can be won, and the ending is still good, Crane nodded. If Im didn't show up, they wouldn't say they took Air. Most likely, all will perish. The other side. Whitebeard watched Air and Yim battle, and the battle was a draw, and he felt that something was wrong. Damn, troublesome. Originally, after Air killed the 3-5 elders, the entire Holy Land Mariejois was already Air's home ground. Not to mention all the powerhouses who can slaughter the entire Holy Land Mariejois. But the two of them can definitely get out of this place. But accompanied by a presence not inferior to Air. Advertisement. This made it even more difficult for them to leave. After all, this place is not the only one that exists in Im. Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Kong, Crane are not simple characters. Although we have suffered a particularly heavy loss this time, today, neither Air nor you will ever want to leave the Holy Land of Mariejois alive. Your bodies will rest in this land forever. 5. The scarred old man looked at Whitebeard and sneered. Although they suffered heavy losses in this battle, more than 80% of the area was destroyed by the battle. Even 3-5 elders died, but if the two monsters Air and Whitebeard could be killed, everything is still worth it. Hearing the old man with scar, Whitebeard didn't say anything. Because even he feels that he wants to leave today, very hanging. The other side. Aokiji pushed the black sunglasses, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Today we have gained a lot of knowledge. Originally they just wanted to come to the Holy Land Mariejois to see the war. Unexpectedly, this battle completely refreshed their cognition. In the future, I will also stand as high as Air. Akainu clenched his fists and vowed to himself. Air's performance in today's battle shocked everyone, and of course Akainu. However, he is a strong character and will definitely not admit defeat. Now he has made Air his goal. Although I don't know who the characters are, this war is probably coming to an end, Kizaru said with his arms crossed on his chest. Mid-air in the center of the battlefield. At this time, Air looked at Yimu, who was looking at him with a vigilant expression, and couldn't help but secretly said, "Sure enough. It's very strong. With that punch just now, he hardly retained any strength, fighting with all his strength. Even so, his punch was still blocked by I am, as expected of a monster that has survived for 800 years, his strength is unfathomable." Air's face sank, ready to do his best to get rid of I before the experience card expires. At this moment, I suddenly turned his back to Air, turned and left, leaving only one sentence. "You can leave now." Hearing Yimu's words, Air froze in place. "What's the situation? Don't fight. Do you think you can't beat me?" Advertisement it shouldn't be, Air thought a lot inside. Maybe she thought that if a war really started, the holy place of Mariejois will be reduced to ruins. However, this idea, the next second, Air refuted. No. Probably out of fear that Celestial Dragon's national treasure will be discovered. The blow just now was just a test of his own strength. If handled well, she will handle herself as quickly as possible. If it is tricky and you are not sure to kill it in a short time. In order not to let outsiders know about Celestial Dragon's national treasure. So, she made a concession? In the few seconds he pondered. Garp below the battlefield suddenly roared. "Can't let the monster Air leave." 753. Today Air invades the Holy Land of Mariejois, beheading 3-5 elders. Caused endless destruction. Now, nothing Garp says will let Air go. Kong looked clenched and shouted at who was looking at the sky. "This guy Air has probably reached his limit. If we join forces, we can definitely kill him, so we must not let him go." 35. Although the 5 elders have been defeated, the 5 of us are not weak. If we join forces with you, we will definitely be able to take down Air. Sengoku also shouted. "I thought that Im's appearance was to help them take down Air together. But who would have thought that was going to let Air leave?" Can't help but Garp and others, unable to accept Im's actions. Although the death of 3 old friends made him extremely sad and angry. "Lord Yim, do you think that letting Air leave is a good thing for our world government?" 5. But for Im's order, he was like a puppet and did not dare to continue to ask anything. "Yes." Even the old man with the knife who was kneeling on one knee at this time raised his head slightly and said, "Don't ask so much if you shouldn't." Yimu turned around slightly, glanced at him and said calmly. Hearing this, the old man with the knife lowered his head slightly, unconditionally obeying Yimu's wishes. This makes them completely unacceptable. Chapter 203 Air's departure, the war ends. What a joke, in today's battle, we lost so much, we are about to win Air. How can we just let him go? The veins on Garp's forehead suddenly appeared, and he shouted again at in the air. Even Garp's current position is only Vice Admiral. In terms of status, he was simply not enough in front of the 5 elders. Not to mention, the unconditional obedience of the 5 elders. But, Garp could not accept letting Air leave, and directly questioned Air, this enemy, I believe you can kill with your own hands in the future. 39 Yim turned his head and glanced at Garp. We can't do this, although Garp has great confidence in his own strength. But Air can fight 4-5 elders by himself, and can even kill 3 existences. No matter how confident he is in his own strength, he definitely doesn't think he is Air's opponent. This guy Air, even the 4-5 elders are not an opponent. How can we defeat this monster when we go to sea in the future? Zephyr also said. There are not a few interesting pirates in the sea, but Air is an extremely dangerous pirate. Letting him go, it will bring disaster to us, Kong said solemnly. To be honest, they really couldn't fathom Im's mind. Just thought Air was funny and let him go. You know, Air killed 3-5 elders in this battle. As the superior of the 5 elders, should be angry and avenge the 5 elders no matter what he thinks. The catastrophe? He can't do it alone. Pirates are your marine's enemies, and I won't take action unless necessary, but I believe you can defeat this guy. Unless Air's strength can make feel a deep threat. Otherwise, he would not easily interfere with the pattern of the sea. After a one-hit encounter with Air, deduced that the presence of Air was not enough to overthrow her rule. After all, she could still feel that the power in Air's body was only temporary and uncontrollable. But She is quite interested in how the future heir will grow. You must know that she has survived for 800 years in this sea. Advertisement. Although ruling the whole world, she has a lot of sense of accomplishment. But the time was too long, which made her a little bored. Therefore, the appearance of heir made her feel interesting. Rather than killing heir now, she is more curious about how heir will grow. As for the death of the 5 elders, death is death. So what? After you die, can you be elected in the future? Immediately disappeared after leaving this sentence. Only Garp and others who remained in place were left. Zephyr frowned slightly and asked Kong. What should I do? Do you still want to kill heir now? 35. Although now they want to join forces to deal with heir together. But just now I am also ordered heir to leave. Now, if they shoot heir directly, no one knows what will happen. Kong clenched his fists tightly, blue veins appeared on his forehead, and said with a hideous expression in silence for a moment. Let him go. Although he also wanted to kill heir, I am as a being above the 5 elders. He still did not dare to disobey the orders given by such an existence. Damn, just let heir go, Garp said angrily. There is obviously a chance to get rid of heir today. Now, they have to let heir go. This kind of thing makes Garp difficult to accept. But in the face of Imam's orders, he had no choice but to obey. Since the Lord said it, we Marine will have the opportunity to kill heir in the future, maybe we should believe this sentence, he said comfortingly. In fact, he didn't believe Im's words either, but now, unable to kill heir, she could only force herself to believe this sentence. Damn it, I didn't expect heir to invade such a powerful place as the Holy Land Mariejois, and finally leave us with the ending. But this is how it is. Zephyr sat on the ruins with a gloomy expression on his face. At this time, Akainu came to the back of everyone and said solemnly. Advertisement, this guy heir, I will defeat it myself in the future. Although he is a terrifying guy, his strength can reach such a level, and maybe we can do it with our talent, Aokiji also said. Hearing Aokiji's words, Garp and the others all turned to look at him. Although they wanted to say something, in order not to attack Aokiji, they hesitated, and finally decided to let it go. Aokiji's talent is really good, and he was rated as Marine 3-star at a young age. But Garp and others were not young and were rated as 3 stars. But now, compared to today's heir, their strengths are simply worlds apart. Heir, who stood up in the air, watched the back of Im leaving, and was silent for a moment. Then he put his eyes on Whitebeard in the distance. Time to go, Edward, I don't know if it's fraudulent or not. However, if you can go, naturally you have to try it. After all, he doesn't want to continue playing anymore, because the experience card that has increased his abilities several times has expired. Gu la la la. Heir, your image really makes my eyes shine. Whitebeard laughed as he moved closer to heir. When Yimu appeared, his battle with the old scarred man was over, Zhao Wang Zhao. When Im left, the scarred old man did not continue to attack him or anything. Stop talking so much, it's time to leave. Heir floated quickly to Whitebeard's side, and took him away from the place. Now, he didn't want to stay for a moment in this dangerous place with Im's presence. Watching Heir and Whitebeard leave, Garp and the others were resentful. But no one chooses to chase, after all, they also know that they can't chase at all. The knot. Is it over? Damn it, we lost too much in this battle. What the hell is going on with that so-called Im? Why did Heir leave? A senior world government official said angrily. The moment his words fell, a sharp-edged sword energy directly tore him into 2 halves. Chapter 204 Kong. I really want to scream, please complete order. Not far away, he saw blood all over his body, so the old man with the knife who was seriously injured said fiercely. Only you, dare to insist on the orders of Lord Yim? 35. Seeing a high-level man discussing that Im was killed, the people around him were so frightened that they were sweating, and they didn't dare to say anything more. The old man with the knife snorted coldly and then walked slowly to Garp and the others. Sitting on a piece of gravel, he looked at a few people with a serious expression. This guy Heir, in the future, will need to be handed over to a few of you to deal with. Im had ordered that they, the 5 elders, could not leave the Holy Land of Mariejois. That is to say, unless Heir arrives at this place again, they are completely unable to shoot at Heir. Today's Heir, still returned to the sea. In the future, this enemy can only be left to Garp and others to deal with. You look too high on us, even the 4 of you are no match for him, how could we defeat the monster Heir? 35 Kong sighed. To be honest, Kong wants to scream. What's so special? The 4-5 elders teamed up, but they couldn't beat Heir, and they were killed by 3. Im appears, obviously able to take down Heir, but he pinned his hopes on the Marine. If it weren't for Kong's position, it would be far inferior to the 5 elders. Otherwise, he will be scolded twice now. No, you have a chance. Have you forgotten that although Heir's ability is very strong, it has serious side effects? In the Battle of the Hive Island, Air used the boosting power once, and he did not use it again until the Battle of the Valley of the Gods began. After this use, he will definitely not be able to use it again in a few years, and today he not only used the boosting ability, but also other extremely special moves, which must have great side effects on his body. 5. So, you definitely have a chance, the old man with the knife said seriously. After listening to his words, Garp and the others looked at each other. Because of Air's performance today, it was too shocking for them. Even if the old man with a knife explained it here, Air's power was only temporary. But they are still a little less confident in their own strength. Don't worry, since Lord Yimu would say such a thing, he naturally has his reasons. I hope you guys don't disappoint Lord Yimu and can solve this guy Air with your own hands. Advertisement. Although he said so, in fact, the old man with the knife was not very worried about several people. However, he firmly believed that there must be a reason for I am letting Air go. Akainu clenched his fists tightly, lava burst out, and said with a serious expression, if you can't get rid of this guy Air, then when I grow up, I will kill him myself. Akainu is now very young, and feels that his future has infinite possibilities. So, have great confidence in your own talent. Garp and the others were taken aback when they heard Akainu's remarks. Even Akainu watched the war with his own eyes and was still not afraid of Air. So what reason do they have to be afraid of Air? Garp took a deep breath and said solemnly, since there is a possibility of defeating Air, then we must give it a try. I will solve this guy Air myself. Air's ability, since it has side effects. Now that the side effects are starting to take effect, Air's strength should return to its normal level. Although, Air gave them endless shocks today. But, think about it, Garp thinks, there is still a chance to beat Air. Then when can we go to sea to hunt down Air? Zephyr asked. The old man with the knife slowly stood up and said seriously. Don't worry, when your strength can reach our level, it's time for you to go to sea. Although, the knife-wielding old man believes that Air's ability will have side effects. But it is undeniable that Air's combat power is extremely strong. If you want to completely take down Air, Garp and others must have such terrifying strength as him, added, to have a chance. Got it? Sengoku nodded. Indeed, with the personal guidance of the 5 elders, their strength will increase very quickly. In order to deal with Air, Sengoku is not in a hurry to leave this place at this time. Instead, I want to raise my own strength to a terrifying level and arrest this guy Air in person. On the other side, Air floated in midair with Whitebeard and quickly escaped from the Holy Land Mariejois. Air was relieved until he reached the faraway island and there were still no chasing troops behind him. Ding, congratulations host, get 800 fairy eyes progress. At the same time, the sound of the system also entered Air's mind. Advertisement. The harvest at the Holy Land Mariejois this time was not bad. Not only did I get 10 devil fruits, I also got the fairy eyes, a full 800 points of progress. Now Air's fairy eye has reached an astonishing 5800 progress. With only 1200 progress left, the ability of the fairy eyes can be promoted to the later stage. Air in turn disarms 10 tails Jinchuriki. At the same time, the strength increase experience card has also expired. It has to be said that the ability of 10 tails is matched with the ability of the experience card to increase the strength several times. Air's strength can really go sideways in the whole world. However, if Air can reach the full level of the Sage's Eye, fully manipulate the 10 tails, and fully unleash its power, then his combat power at that time, it will be better than the 10 tails Jinchuriki state today at the time of the Holy Land Mariejois. In addition, the strength has increased several times, and the experience card is even stronger. Because of today's battle, Air really entered the 10 tails Jinchuriki state. But the level of Immortal Eye is too low, and it only uses part of its power. Although there is an increase in the strength of the experience card several times. But his combat power has not completely reached the original level of 10 tails Jinchuriki. Looks like it's safe. Whitebeard stood on the shore of a lonely island, staring at the sea in the distance, and he couldn't help sighing in relief. Today's battle really made Whitebeard feel a little thrilling. After all, when he fought the old man with scars, he thought he was going to die in that place today. It seems that it is safe now, but you can't relax your vigilance. Let's leave this place quickly. Although, Air can't directly create a complete ship. But no matter what, Air directly hung up, rivaling the 4-5 elders and beheading 3. But if you want to create a boat that can be driven and has a general outline, it can still be done. In the end, they managed to leave the Holy Land Mariejois alive. Air came to the coast, with his hands in a row, he created a boat directly. It even forced the legendary Yimu out. This is the boat he created with the help of wood style. Chapter 205. The new bounty is released, please order. But then again, Air, you have such strength. If you form a pirate group and recruit more powerful people, you may not be able to dominate the world in the future. Whitebeard looked at Air seriously as he got on the boat. Dominate the world? Although I have some ideas, I still can't do it now. Air shook his head slightly. Unless Air upgrades the ability of the fairy eyes to the full level, completely grasps the power of 10 tails. Be real. 10 tails Jinchuriki. At this time, Air is 100% confident that he can defeat I am. Of course, the victory was only when he and Yim fought hard against each other. If I am using special abilities, then the battle situation is unknown. After all, in this pirate world, there is devil fruit. There are many bug-like devil fruits in this world. For example, childlike fruit, as long as it is touched, it will directly turn into a toy. Based on the 800-year history of world government, it can be said that there is no bug-type devil fruit. Air was in disbelief. Gee la la la. I can't believe it, you can't do such a thing now. Air, Whitebeard laughed. Air's performance in the Holy Land Mariejois today is enough to shock the whole world. Even the Rox performance in the Valley of the Gods campaign was not as terrifying as Air. So, Whitebeard thinks Air has a chance to dominate the world. World government, it's not as simple as you think, Edward. Air smiled. I am dared to let him go in the Holy Land Mariejois, no doubt. The other party is naturally confident and not afraid of Air. And with Air's current strength, it is indeed impossible to dominate the world. Hearing his words, Whitebeard rubbed his chin in his hand, thinking. That woman named I am is indeed not easy, but I believe that your strength has not yet reached the end. In the Battle of the Holy Land, Air beheaded 5 elders by himself. Im's appearance directly tied the battle with Air. And also let them leave, thinking about it carefully. Whitebeard can also sense I am, the confidence that dominates the sea. Still, Whitebeard believes that Air is stronger. After all, Air has shocked Whitebeard countless times since joining the Rox. Advertisement Rox can't do the feat of world domination, but he thinks Air has a chance. Because Air is still very young now, don't take me too seriously, Edward. Air spread his hands. If you really want to dominate the world, I will fully assist you, Air, Whitebeard said seriously. The Rox wanted to dominate the world, and Whitebeard wasn't willing to help. But if Air had such thoughts, Whitebeard would definitely help. After all, Air was also Whitebeard's first friend. And, this time in the Holy Land Mariejois. This battle happened because Air refused the request of the 5 elders to kill him. Since that moment, Whitebeard has regarded Air as his family from the bottom of his heart. Then thank you Edward, but, for now, let's get out of here first. Air nodded. Whitebeard heard the words and followed Air to the boat, and the two left the place together. A few days later, New World, a certain sea area. There is a huge pirate ship driving here. In the center of the cabin, a tall and terrifying man was sitting on the sofa, sipping wine. He is none other than Kido of the Beasts. At this time, the Beasts Pirates were already a famous pirate group in the New World. There is also a place in the entire New World. Beside him is a man in black armor with a pair of wings behind him. He is the head of the 3 plagues of the Beasts Pirates, Jin. Tap tap tap. Just as the two were talking, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door. I saw a fat man running in with a stack of reward orders in his hand, panting heavily. Seeing Quinn's rashness, Jin crossed his arms in front of his chest, and said with a cold expression on his face. Quinn, what are you doing in such a hurry? 35 Quinn glanced at Jin indifferently and scolded. Shut up, Jin. I have something to report to Brother Kido. 35. Although the two are one of the 3 plagues of the Beasts Pirates. However, the relationship between the two is unusually different, often quarreling and bickering. Kido sat on the sofa, resting his head on his hands and asked calmly, are you holding a bounty in your hand, Quinn? 39. Advertisement 0 katakana middle dot for flowers. Yes, Boss Kido. Quinn nodded. Is it worth running over to report in such a panic? Jin asked impatiently. Since the disbandment of the Rox group, the bounty of the great pirates of the New World has continued to rise. This kind of thing has long been commonplace. Jin had no interest in increasing the reward order. He doesn't understand. Is it worth Quinn to run over in such a panic just because a bounty for a big pirate in the New World is issued? Jin UB asterisk 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 D. Didn't you see that I was talking to Kido brother? Quinn said coldly. Kido took a gulp of the wine and said, don't make a fuss about you guys, give me the reward, Quinn. Hearing Kido speak, neither Jin nor Quinn said anything else. Quinn handed Kido the bounty in his hand. Kido still had a lazy look when he accepted the reward order. But when he saw the person on the reward and the amount, he sat up straight and frowned slightly. Seeing Kido's expression, Jin took a closer look at the reward order and broke out in a cold sweat. There is a bounty of 6 billion Baileys? He remembered that after the Valley of God War was over, Air's bounty was still 4.75 billion Bailey. Air's bounty has remained unchanged since then. Now, the bounty has been directly increased by 1.25 billion Bailey. Kido looked at the reward order in his hand and was silent for a few seconds, then raised his head slightly and asked. Quinn, apart from the bounty, is there any news on the ocean? No news was released, only a reward order. Quinn shook his head slightly. Is there only a reward order? Hearing this, Kido's face was gloomy and he fell into contemplation. He used to be the cadre of the Rox, so he knew every time Air's bounty went up. Few of the newspapers were published. The reason for this is because every time Air offers a bounty increase, all the news is enough to stir the world and make the world government dare not release it. And this time, Air's bounty was raised again by 1.25 billion Bailey. But no news was released. This made Kido guess that Air must have done another big thing in the world these days. Beg. Chapter 206 Meet the Roger Pirates again. New World, an island. In the center of the island, there is a huge palace. Inside the palace, countless pirate groups were sitting around drinking together. They are all crew members of the Golden Lion. And Golden Lion was sitting in the center at this time, raised his glass and looked at the many pirates in front of him and laughed. Gia ha ha ha. Let's celebrate this moment, lousies air pirates, there are now more than 24 warships, 99. Eat and drink well this time, it won't be long before we invite the Roger Pirates to join my camp, 35. Of course, if they refuse, they will inevitably have to fight a tough battle. The sea in the future will definitely belong to Lousy. The reason why Golden Lion recruited so many strong men in New World is to dominate the world. When 767, he also knew very well that the pirates he recruited alone could not dominate the world. So, now he has set his sights on Roger. He's already made plans, and it won't be long before he personally finds Roger and makes him his right-hand man. At the same time, he is also very clear that Roger may refuse, so a war will inevitably start at that time. Admiral Shiki. Admiral Shiki, 99, Admiral Shiki. The pirates in the hall raised their wineglasses one after another and chanted the name of the Golden Lion. Seeing the pirate at the moment, he shouted his name in unison, and a smile appeared on the corner of Golden Lion's mouth. Tap tap. At this time, outside the hall, there was a sound of footsteps and a few pirates rushed in. The leading pirate came to the center of the palace and looked at the Golden Lion solemnly. Admiral Shiki, New World seems to have a big event recently. What's the big deal? Golden Lion asked, frowning slightly when he heard the words. Although the sea is not releasing any news, but there are two terrible guys, but the bounty has suddenly increased a lot. The leading pirate shook his head slightly, and then handed the reward order to Golden Lion. Advertisement. Golden Lion looked puzzled and accepted the reward order from the pirates. The next second, his face froze directly. This guy Air, has the bounty already reached 6 billion Baileys? Golden Lion looked at the reward in his hand in disbelief. He has made a lot of noise in this sea since the Rox group disbanded. But the bounty has only increased by a few 100 million Baileys. As for Air, there has been no news of an increase in the bounty amount before. Now, why has it suddenly risen by 1.25 billion Bailey? Hearing the Golden Lion's words, the many pirates who were drinking, His Highness, broke out in a cold sweat. 6 billion Baileys. Even for Admiral Shiki, the current bounty is only 4.5 billion Baileys. Air's bounty is actually 1.5 billion Baileys higher than that of Admiral Shiki. Don't talk about Admiral Shiki. Even if the Rox bounty didn't reach 6 billion Baileys back then, what shocking thing did this guy Air do to make the bounty reach such a height? 39. A long time ago, Air was dubbed the title of the strongest pirate by the world government, and it seems that this title is true. Many pirates looked at each other and talked about it, and all of them were shocked by the amount of Air's bounty. As for Golden Lion, he glanced at the bounty in his hand with a heavy expression, causing him to think deeply. After leaving a sentence, he left the hall directly. I'm going out first. New World, all nations, in a palace. Charlotte Linlin was sitting on a chair at this time, looking at the bounty about Air and Whitebeard in her hand. 6 billion Baileys, 5.2 billion Baileys, what did these two guys do? After the Battle of the Holy Land Mariejois, Air's bounty reached 6 billion Baileys. And Whitebeard, it reached 5.2 billion Bailey. Katakuri, who was standing aside, said with a serious expression. Mom, this guy Air is a very dangerous person. In the future, it may affect his mother to dominate the world. Mama. Air is indeed a dangerous person, and during this period of time, he may have done something that alarmed the world government, but this sea belongs to me. Charlotte Linlin said with a weird smile. 0. Advertisement. He has been particularly trained in New World since the Rox disbanded. She has seized a lot of territory, and her own strength has reached a terrifying level. At the same time, the talents and strengths of the children she gave birth to are not weak. For example, Katakuri, Perispero and others are all valued by her. She always believes that this sea belongs to her, and she will become the queen of this sea. After a while. New World, the country of Darasta. This country is the country where Air is located and the country he bought with his financial resources. At this time, Air was walking along the coast, then opened the mall in the system panel. It can be seen that in the ranks of special items, the power of Hado in Kido of a Shinigami world has been refreshed. Kido is an advanced spell used only by Shinigami in the Shinigami world. Hado, on the other hand, is a move aimed at attacking power, which is the ability to directly inflict damage on the enemy. The power of Hado ranges from 1 to 99 Hado. The larger the number of characters, the more difficult and powerful Hado is to use. You must know that the combat power of the Shinigami world is higher than that of the pirate world. And from the Shinigami world, the most practical ability, the power of Hado, naturally needless to say, the power is boundless. This ability has been refreshed since the end of the Holy Land Mariejois 4.3 sub-combat. But, the power of Hado is the same as the armament hockey promotion card in the mall. Air. Suddenly a voice came from his ear. However, as for when he will get the last devil fruit, Air is not sure. Hearing the familiar voice, Air turned his head slightly, only to see Roger rapidly approaching him. Air glanced at the mall and closed it. After that, his subordinates presented him with a devil fruit. Now he is only one devil fruit away from purchasing the power of Hado in the mall. They all need to spend a full 12 devil fruits before they can be exchanged. Not long ago, when Air went to the Holy Land Mariejois, he got 10 devil fruits from the 5 elders. Chapter 207 Roger. You survived from that group of monsters, please complete order? There was a smile on Roger's face at this time. Holding the supreme knife ace in his hand, he was approaching him at an extremely fast speed. Roger. Looking at this familiar face, Air was slightly startled. Immediately after that, he quickly took out the supremely fast sword from his waist, stomped the ground, and charged towards Roger. God avoid. 39, Zen God, 99. The figures of the two quickly pulled in. Then the two men's blades were wrapped with a layer of armed color and conqueror's hockey at the same time, and they slashed at each other. Boom! The blades of the two collided with each other in the air, and the terrifying momentum spread endlessly. The high-altitude clouds were torn apart directly, and the ground plane underfoot was even more broken. The terrifying aura appeared from the two of them, as if two wild beasts were roaring at each other. Not far away, the Rox Pirates also appeared in Air's sight. I saw a young man with a red nose wearing a yellow-red striped shirt and exclaimed. Okay. Good 03, this guy can actually play as well as Captain Roger. A red-haired boy in a white shirt couldn't help swallowing. Is this the new world bounty as high as 6 billion Bailey pirates? Ha ha ha. Shanks, Buggy, you two just joined our ship, you probably haven't seen such a scene. Rayleigh glanced at the two of them and smiled. Yes, these two teenagers, one is Buggy and the other is Redhead. The two of them in the future will become the 4 emperors who are famous all over the world. I thought Captain Roger was already the strongest man in this sea, but I didn't expect that this guy's strength was not inferior to him. The red hair wiped the sweat on his forehead. Although, he knew that Air's bounty was 6 billion Baileys. However, the world government just released Air's bounty. But no news was released. It can be said that there is very little news about Air in this sea. From the 1.5 billion Bailey before the Battle of the Hive Island that year, to the increase in the bounty in the future. Air has not issued any bounty orders in this sea. Not because of anything else, but because of what Air did. The world government didn't dare to publish it in the form of a newspaper advertisement because once it is released, it will cause a sensation in the world. So, this also led to, previously the Redhead just thought Air had a high bounty. But it never felt like Air was comparable to Roger. Now, seeing such a scene, he is naturally a little surprised. Air and Roger's strengths are indeed comparable, but, if I have to say, Air's hockey is stronger than Roger's, 99. Jabba stared at the two people on the battlefield and expressed his opinion. Not boasting about Roger's strength just because Roger is his captain. When it comes to armament and observation hockey, Roger and Air are not much different. But Conqueror's hockey, Air is better than Roger. After all, because of Air's ability to advance to the card, he promoted Conquerors to full level early. And Roger's Conquerors at this time is also close to full level, but it has not yet reached the level of Air. Hockey is stronger than Captain Roger? Buggy exclaimed in shock. After all, Air is a monster. Rayleigh rubbed Buggy's hair. Rayleigh didn't know what Air had done to make his bounty rise so high. But one thing he can be sure of is that Air must have done something that shocked the world government. Today, no one in the entire new world has a bounty above Air. How could such a man not be worthy of the word monster? Ha ha ha. I haven't seen you for such a long time, your strength has really grown a lot stronger. Roger suddenly put away the blade, put it back into the scabbard and laughed. The last time the two faced off was when the Rox regiment existed. It's been such a long time in a flash. Well, your strength didn't disappoint me, Roger. Air also inserted the blade back into the scabbard. Without resorting to a range of abilities such as Rinnegan, Ten Tails, Wood Style and more. Air is not stronger than Roger. After all, he has been refreshing the progress of Fairy Eyes and looking for Devil Fruit all these years. There has not been much improvement in strength. Air gave Roger a deep look and continued. Advertisement. But then again, Air, a few days ago, I saw that your bounty went up by 1.25 billion Bailey. UB asterisk 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 D. Have you done something big again? Roger was very interested asked. Roger found that every time Air offered a bounty increase, he did not issue any bounty orders. So far, this is the 4th time, so, this inevitably made Roger a little curious. What the hell did Air do? It can make the world government dare not issue his bounty, but it only increases his bounty. It's not a big deal, just a trip to the Holy Land Mariejois, Air said calmly. Hearing his words, many of the crew members standing behind Roger were stunned for a moment, and they broke out in a cold sweat. Holy Land Mariejois. That place is the stronghold of the world government. I have never heard of anyone who dares to go to such a place. As expected of a man named the strongest pirate by the world government, how dare he step into such an area? Many crew members of the Roger Pirates were shocked. Regardless of their Roger Pirates, they are known as the strongest pirates in the New World today. But they still dare not step into the Holy Mariejois, such a dangerous area. Jabba's forehead was startled with a wisp of cold sweat, and he pushed his glasses and said, So you went to the Holy Land Mariejois? No wonder your bounty increase is so terrifying. 35. The Holy Land Mariejois can be said to be a forbidden place for pirates. That place is even more dangerous than naval headquarters. I didn't expect you to come back alive from such a dangerous place. Rayleigh was also a little surprised. Now they understand why the world government dare not release news. But it directly increased Air's bounty by 1.25 billion Bailey. It turned out that Air stepped into such a dangerous place not long ago. Air, how could you escape from those old monsters in the Holy Land Mariejois? Roger couldn't help but gasped. Hundreds of years of training time, how terrifying their strength can be, even Roger doesn't know. The 5 elders are strong, but when he uses the power of 10 tails. One of them is that the 5 elders existed hundreds of years ago. Discovered a lot of secrets about world government. Because all these days, Roger has been investigating the historical text. I didn't escape from them. Air shook his head slightly. In other words, the 5 elders have at least lived for hundreds of years. So far, no replacement has been made. Those old monsters were not his opponents at all. Chapter 208 The Shocked Roger Pirates. Didn't escape from them. Could it be that you didn't meet the monsters of the 5 elders? Roger breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. He had thought that Air's bounty had risen so much because he met the 5 elders there. And escaped from them, but now it sounds like that's not the case. This also calmed Roger's shocked mood a little. After all, if you think about it, if Air actually fought the 5 elders and left alive. So what level of terrifying Air's combat power is? I did meet the 5 elders in the Holy Land Mariejois, and I met 5 elders and killed 3 in the end, but I escaped from the others, to be precise. She let me go leaving. 35 Air rubbed his chin with his hand, recalling the scene at that time. 5 elders, 3 killed by you. How is it possible? That is a monster that has survived for hundreds of years. Even if the talent of the 5 elders is poor, they have survived for hundreds of years, and their strength has already reached the top level in this world. When the 5 elders join forces, not your opponent. 35. Hearing Air's words, the group of crew members who had not yet recovered from their shock. Again, he was so scared that he stood upside down. According to their guess, the strength of the 5 elders, at least not inferior to Roger. When the 5 elders joined forces, they couldn't imagine how terrifying the combat power was. What made them even more unimaginable was that Air faced 5 elders and killed 3 of them. Roger's pupils contracted violently, and he said in disbelief, 5 elders died 3? The 5 elders are all old monsters that have survived for hundreds of years and have crossed the long river of history. How far is the combat power of this existence? Although Roger didn't know it, he knew very well that he would definitely not be weaker than himself. And Air fought the 5 elders and killed 3. Rayleigh was startled again with sweat on his forehead and said incredulously, Hey, Air, you are not kidding us. Although we haven't been to the Holy Land Mariejois, we have learned a little bit about the strength of the 5 elders from the historical text. If you can really kill 3 of them, is there anyone in the world government who can be your opponent? Jabba also do not believe. There is one named I Am, Air responded. Throughout the Holy Land Mariejois, no one is Air's opponent. But there's only one person that Air can't figure out, and that's I Am. Air didn't know how the opponent's specific strength was. He also didn't know whether the other party had eaten devil fruit and whether he had any special abilities. Advertisement. Is it I am? Hearing Air's words, Roger and Rayleigh frowned. They did see I am in the historical text, however, records about I am are extremely rare. There is only one, the news that I am was the founder of the world government dynasty 800 years ago. Apart from the first time, there is no other news. According to Air, I am still alive. That is to say, this person has survived for 800 years. After thinking about it carefully, Roger couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat. Roger's face returned to solemnity, and he said solemnly, Air, are you serious? Although he did not believe Air's words, but the news of Yim is only engraved on the historical text. And that piece of historical text has also been found by them. It stands to reason that Air should be unaware of the existence of I am, the founder of the dynasty 800 years ago. But now, Air has spoken by Imam's name. This made Roger unable to guess for a while whether Air was lying or not. It's true or false, you can decide for yourself, but then again, a man like you shouldn't be so bored that he asks me to catch up, it should be something. Air shrugged. He didn't want to waste too much time explaining anything to Roger and the others. Rather, I wanted to ask Roger why he was here this time. Although, Air had played with Roger once and had some sympathetic friendships. Then at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, Roger helped him stop 2 admirals at naval headquarters. Make him owe Roger a favor, but in the final analysis, there is not much friendship between the two. So, Roger suddenly came to his kingdom to find him. To say there is nothing, Air certainly couldn't believe it. After hearing Air's words, Roger's solemn expression was silent for a few seconds. Although I still want to ask more clues from Air's mouth, but now Air has diverted the topic. Advertisement. I didn't want to continue talking. Thinking of this, Roger took a deep breath and nodded. There is indeed something for you, then just say it. But don't worry, let's find a place to have a good chat. I heard that you opened a good tavern in this place, Air. 55. Roger smiled slightly. Since Air has no intention of continuing to speak, he naturally does not choose to ask. Likewise, he didn't want to verify the truth of Air's words. After all, in his opinion, completing the purpose of finding Air this time is the most important. Are you trying to get drunk with me? Air laughed. Ha ha ha. How can we talk about things without drinking? You say yes, Air. Remember to pay. Air nodded. You guy, really apricot. After a few conversations, the two came to a pub opened by Air in the center of the city. Of course, many crew members such as Rayleigh and Jabba naturally followed to the tavern. Then, just say it straight, Roger. Air sat in a chair, unpacked a bottle of fine wine, and handed it to Roger. Roger took the wine from Air and said solemnly, Now, among the big pirates in the entire New World, Zhao Wangchao, you are the only one who didn't create a pirate group, but as for your subordinates, in the entire New World, no one should be able to compare with you. Air, although no pirate group was created, however, because of the establishment of a tavern, he took over the entrusted task. Naturally, there are other common tasks, that is, tasks that ordinary people can complete. This allowed countless pirates and countless people to pour into Air's camp. After all, this group of people who joined his agency would benefit from 91 points of loot. Air naturally did not refuse and accepted their participation. The more people who join, the higher the income Air gets, and there is no reason to refuse. It can be said that no one in the whole New World has the prestige above Air. This makes Air's prestige very high in New World. Subsequently, a commissioning agency was created. Because of the so-called entrusted tasks, naturally it is not just to exterminate pirates. Chapter 209 Roger Golden Lion? Chapter 209 Roger's Favor? Because of the existence of a commissioning agency. In New World, Air can speak an order and move countless people. Has a very strong personal relationship network. So, what do you want to say, Roger? Air said flatly. We have been very interested in historical texts recently, but this thing is particularly difficult to find. So, I would like to use your personal network to help me find the historical text. Of course, as long as you can find a piece for me. Not long after the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, Roger accidentally came into contact with the historical text. He is particularly interested in the history of the blank 100 years in the historical text. However, the historical text is especially difficult to find. After all, this thing is scattered in a certain corner of the world. Naturally, he would not embarrass Air and help him find all the historical texts of this world. All you need is Air. Help him find a piece. I owe you a favor to help you accomplish this task? Air asked. Air's only friendship with Roger is that he owes Roger a favor. If Roger wants to entrust this mission with favor, Air doesn't charge anything. Of course not, you owe me a favor, and I have other places to borrow. 35 Roger shook his head slightly. Then 767 glanced at the pirate behind him and gestured. Bring it here. Hearing Roger's words, several pirates stood up, holding a few treasure chests in their arms, and came to the front of the two. The pirates opened the treasure chest, revealing 4 devil fruits inside. These 4 devil fruits are what we paid you to do, heir, Roger said seriously. He naturally knew very well that if he wanted to ask heir to do things, he naturally wanted to give heir a rich reward. After all, heir created the agency for this very purpose. Then I'll take this mission. Heir looked at the 4 devil fruits and smiled. Now, with just 1 devil fruit, he can exchange the power of Hado in the world of Shinigami in the mall. At this critical moment, Roger directly offered him 4 devil fruits. I have to say, Roger came at the right time, ha ha ha. Refreshing, Roger laughed when he heard this. Advertisement heir took 4 devil fruit and looked at Roger and asked, but then again, have you been to Sky Island, Roger? Heir once stood in the perspective of God and knew the people of the Roger Pirates who had been to Sky Island. Added, in that place, a piece of historical text was found. He didn't know whether the current Roger, who had been to Sky Island, had found the piece of historical text. Sky Island? I heard about it, but I haven't been there. Roger shook his head slightly. During this period of time, Roger has been trying his best to find the historical text on the sea. Naturally, there is no leisure to go to the so-called Sky Island to play or something. Then it seems that the entrusted task this time has been completed directly. If Roger hasn't been to Sky Island, that means they haven't discovered the historical text of Sky Island. Since then, he is the only one in the entire sea who knows that there is a historical text in that place. Oh, what to say, heir? Roger asked suspiciously. There is a piece of historical text in the place on Sky Island. Really? Roger suddenly stood up and said unexpectedly. Roger did not expect that he had just paid out and asked heir to use his network to help him find the historical text. Now, heir directly told him the coordinates of a historical text. Of course, if you get paid to ask me to do things, how could I lie to you? Heir spread his hands. You be asterisk 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 D. You're more efficient than I thought. Roger couldn't help smacking his tongue. Roger naturally wouldn't doubt that heir's words were true or false. After all, he took out 4 devil fruits as a reward, so heir had no reason to lie to him. So, you came today, besides asking me to find the historical text, do you have anything else to do, Roger? Heir asked. Now, the coordinates of the historical text, heir has told Roger. 4 devil fruits, he has also accepted. The entrusted mission has also ended. If Roger had nothing else to do, then they will sit together and chat, and then go away. To be honest, we have another thing to entrust you with today, but our Roger group has no more devil fruit, so I want to use that favor to let you complete the entrusted task. Hearing this, Roger said solemnly. Devil fruit, but one of the world's great treasures. Advertisement extremely hard to find. No matter how long they searched the sea for a long time, they only found 4. Therefore, if you want to continue to ask heir to do things, you can no longer use devil fruit. It could only be done with the help of the favor heir owed him in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Of course. Heir nodded. After all, heir is also a person who knows how to repay. Roger had fought in the Valley of the Gods, equivalent to saving his life. This kind of favor, he will naturally repay for it. Recently, Shiki has his eye on our Roger regiment, and I need you to help me settle this guy. Although Roger is not afraid of the Golden Lion's flying pirates. However, the Roger Pirates, do not want to interfere in the New World War now. The only thing they want to do now is to look for the historical text and know the history of the blank 100 years. Among them, if the Golden Lion finds it, there will inevitably be a war. This is quite troublesome for their Roger Pirates. After all, there are so many people in the Flying Sky Pirates, if they fight, they will also suffer heavy casualties. Heir rubbed his chin with his hand, pondered for a few seconds and nodded. Shiki. No problem, if there is no accident without his intervention. It won't be long before the Battle of 8 Wall begins. At that time, the Golden Lion will lead dozens of pirate battleships to encircle and suppress Roger. If you look at the original book, the battle did not actually start, because of the weather storm. For this task, Heir chose to continue. In the original book, the Battle of 8 Wall did not unfold. Not for other reasons, just want to repay Roger's favor quickly. But that doesn't mean it's still not turned on this time. Almost all the pirate ships under the Golden Lion were destroyed, and a rudder was inserted directly into his head. But now this pirate world, because of Heir's intervention. A lot of things don't match the original. His appearance has long caused a series of butterfly effects. After all, he didn't want to owe someone something all the time. Chapter 210 Gaining New Abilities, The Power of Shinigami Hado. Ha ha ha. Then I'll trouble you, Heir. 99 Roger raised the wineglass in his hand, touched the fine wine in Heir's hand, and laughed. Although he is not very clear, Air's current real strength. However, he guessed that the current Air strength is definitely not under him. With Air helping him settle the Golden Lion, Roger is still very relieved. You don't need to say this kind of polite, Roger, after all we are in a deal, Air said lightly. Give Roger the news that Sky Island has a historical text, that's because Roger gave him 4 devil fruits. As for helping him settle the Golden Lion, that's because he owes Roger a favor. If not, he wouldn't be helping Roger at all. It can be said that the only thing between the two is a transaction. Anyway, this time it's trouble, you, Air, no problem. After Air and Roger and others drank for a while, Roger and others left. Because they have now received the news that Sky Island has a historical text. Naturally, I don't want to delay, I want to go to Sky Island non-stop. Watching Roger and others leave, Air also gave Roger the 4 devil fruits. And devil fruit from Kurama spirit space. Then I opened the system store and saw the power of Hado refreshed on the special item. Exchange. Ding. Does host really want to use 12 devil fruits to exchange the power of Hado? 35. Sure. Air said without hesitation, although it is said that Air's current master's abilities are not few. There are 10 tails. Available in wood style, there is Sage mode. Although the power of 10 tails is terrifying, he has the power to almost destroy the world. But such power, in Air's view, cannot be used, or try not to use it. Because his fairy eyes are only mid-term now, it is impossible to fully control the 10 tails, nor to fully unleash the power of the 10 tails. During the Battle of the Holy Land Mariejois, Air used up most of his stamina just for a moment to release 10 tails. Also, because 10 tails has been eating back at his consciousness. Advertisement this made him repair for a long time before he completely recovered the consciousness that was counterattacked by 10 tails. It can be said that 10 tails are powerful, but also dangerous at the same time. Cannot use, try not to use, unless the fairy eyes are full. Except for the power of 10 tails. Air also has the power of Master, which is Wood Style and Sage mode. However, in fact, Wood Style's powerful capabilities are not too many. Although Wood Style plus Sage mode can release the terrifying and boundless abilities of Wood Style True several thousand hands. But don't forget, the pirate world where Air is located, the vast area is the sea. Wood Style True several thousand hands can only be used on islands at most. If you use it on the sea, you are afraid that it will sink directly into the sea. To sum up, Air still urgently needs a powerful ability that he can release at will. And very destructive, Hado is just what Air needs. It can be released anywhere, without side effects, and the power is particularly terrifying. With Air's voice falling, a special energy entered Air's body. Then the memories of the Shinigami world, Hado, flooded into his mind. In an instant, Air had fully mastered Kido's powers. Air clenched his fist and smiled slightly. As of now, my overall combat power has improved a lot. After the master finishes Hado's power, Air put the remaining 2 devil fruits back into Kurama's spiritual space. Then open them all in the system panel again. It can be seen that there is only one item in the mall at this time, and that is the ability promotion card. As for the ranks of special items, it is empty. Air also doesn't know when the mall's next special ability will be refreshed. Also not clear. Whether the refreshed special ability is the same as this time, it can be purchased with 12 devil fruits. However, he didn't think too much about it, and after closing it, he sat in the pub drinking. Not long after, Kakaka, 95 the door of the tavern was slowly opened, and several pirates came to Air respectfully. Lord Air, I want to see you from the Sky Pirates off the island. Flying Sky Pirates. 39 Air was startled when he heard the words. He was just about to. Advertisement ask your men to investigate the Golden Lion's trail, so as to remind the Golden Lion not to attack Roger's ideas. 0. Ask for flowers. Now, Golden Lion appeared directly? So doesn't this mean that the task owed to Roger's favor can be completed now? Let them come, Air ordered. Yes, Lord Air. After the pirate left these words, he turned and left. After a while, caw. As the door of the tavern slowly opened, Air also set his sights on the door. However, it was not the Golden Lion who stood at the door, but his crew. First meeting, Mr. Air. The leading pirate stammered and respectfully said. Although it is said that he is a pirate with a bounty of nearly 1 billion Baileys under the Golden Lion. In the whole new world, is a little famous, however, in front of Air he looked very nervous. Air frowned slightly and asked, you guys, what's the matter? Although, it was not the Golden Lion who came. However, the Golden Lion crew came, and it was the same for Air. Now just ask the other party's purpose first. When it comes time for them to return, remind the Golden Lion not to hit Roger's ideas. Admiral Shiki, let us bring some precious treasures and ask you to do one thing. The leading pirate said respectfully. Then he gestured to the pirates behind him and placed some precious treasures in front of Air. "What's up?" Air glanced at the treasure in front of him and said lightly. "The Golden Lion has been searching the sea for the Roger Pirates for some time. Still no news about the Roger Pirates. Although it is not a devil fruit, it is still a valuable thing. I have long heard that Mr. Air's influence spreads all over the world and has strong personal connections, so we want to inquire about the whereabouts of the Roger Pirates from your side. However, this new world area is vast and boundless." Air got up slightly, came to Pirate, and patted his shoulder. "Golden Lion has long been ready to win over the Roger Pirates. I can't help you to complete this commission." So, Golden Lion wanted to use Air's network to help him find Roger.